scale of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to those in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the continued support. Remember, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share it out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing, which will be greatly appreciated. Tonight's topic is the core of evil with Mystic Sensation, which is Baron and Anne-Marie. And we have Melting Pot, Pink Q, Mr. Rattigan, and we will also be joined later by Headboy. So let me just do an umbrella welcome to everyone in the chat, because there's so many persons in the chat already. So an umbrella welcome to everyone. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Okay, yes, I'm going to put it up. Also, a special shout out to our moderators and also to our channel members. And in the link, I am going to put in the chat, I'm going to put the link for Alan Bernard, who is member of Parliament for Northwest St. James. So I am going to put the link there so you can click on that link and show some support to Alan. So I'm going to hand over to Baron and just do some housekeeping in the background.
All right. Thank you, honey, for that. And tonight, of course, we have our critical thinking panel. And my Jamaican people, I think for tonight is the day. Tonight is the Judgment Day. Now, what we are going to break down for the people tonight, right? And I want this live to be shared out, because I want, partially, if I can get the entire globe to listen tonight as we break down the evidence, right? In terms of, revealing what has been hidden from us, right? As it relates to the FinSAC report, right? As it relates to the inner damage and the reason as to why the Jamaica Labour Party, right, hold on to the FinSAC report. So you are going to get, right, we are going to get into that. And we are going to speak about the $47 million as it relates to what Andrew Holness came into the politics with. We are going to touch that very serious. Tonight is extremely serious. Right? So what we are going to prove tonight, let me just give you that in a phrase. Edward Seaga financial policies, beaten the financial sector, thus created Ponzi schemes that destroy the business community. These Ponzi schemes benefited Edward Seaga, Andrew Holness, Audley Shaw, and many more Jamaica Labour Party, right, members of Parliament, and thus the reason as to why they hold on unto the FinSAC report. Amazing that Andrew Holness himself going out on the campaign talking about FinSAC, and yet Andrew Holness definitely is a beneficiary of FinSAC That is embarrassing in terms of what we are going to prove tonight, in terms of how the Jamaica Labour Party damaged the business community, right? And crippled several investors. And the only thing that the People's National Party had done was try to save the day. We are going to go into the documents, right? The first document that we are going to touch, right, is a document that being partially sealed by observer, right? It cannot be shared. So what I did is to screenshot it. I know after tonight, they are going to delete it, right? After tonight, they are going to delete it from the system, because at the time when they locked this document, we didn't have the screenshot, the screenshot up, right? So now that we have the screenshot up, we are able to screenshot the information and bring it to you, the information that they sit on, right? So then we don't need to see, right, the FinSAC report that they have. We are going to run through and tell people in details. Also, what I have a research, right, that telling you the cause, and you're going to see it. Amazing night tonight, right? Once again, I want to say big thanks to all the people who continue to follow Mystic Sensation, right, locally and abroad. So people relax as we delve into some serious evidence tonight. And I'm speaking specifically to the electorate, that when you hear this, there is no form of, hassle in terms of who you need to vote for, because what I'm going to bring forth tonight is evidence that they cannot be disputed. It cannot be disputed, right? Whether they have their lawyers or whatever. These are records that definitely in the system. So before I do that, of course, our distinguished panel, let me begin in terms of the ladies, the lady first, right? Pinks, go ahead and introduce yourself to your wonderful people.
Good evening, Lady Anne Marie. Good evening, Uncle Byron, Melting Pot, Radigan. Welcome to the space again. Another day, another evening to share our vibes and our points of view. Good evening to Comrade Leader, Chairman, Chairwoman of the PNP, GenSec, and all our candidates who were nominated yesterday, all 63, and to my blood and fire comrades. And I would like to say a big welcome to Jam Views and the crew from Outer Mark Golding's constituency. We partied and had a good time in Crossroads Saturday evening. From 3 o'clock, we were there until the closing of the event. And I would like to say a big shout out to all my friends and family from St. James who walked with us, endured with us, confused them yesterday while we were helping our candidates be nominated. I yield.
All right, thank you so much, Pinks, and I'm glad you're in the space, right, to tell us what is happening and break it down for us. All right, let us start. Let us begin with our leading batsman, none other than Melting Pot himself.
Thank you, Sir Byron. Good evening to viewers and listeners. Once again, we are here on the Mystic Sensation Live. First, I must take the pleasure to acknowledge the other panelists on the show tonight. Sir Wilfred Rattigan, big up yourself, sir. Lady Pinkskew, enough respect. Sir Byron, the host, big up yourself, sir. Lady Anne Marie, director, enough respect for you, very important skill technology that you bring to the team.
Oh, yes.
And
She's good.
Yeah. I also want to take the pleasure to just say to our viewers who, lend us their unwavering support every night that we are here. They have stayed the course of the journey that we have been on. And now we are coming up to the finishing line. I just want to say to you all, thank you very much for the support that you lend, not just the Mystic Sensation platform, But to we alone some platform, Mr. Ratigan platform, aerobatic platform, yeah, you know these platforms really come and deliver the message that you're all thirsty for. So thank you very much. And you know, I just want to tell you that without you people in the space, this platform wouldn't have the voice that it has because no one would be listening to it. So thank you all. Over to you, Sir Byron.
All right, before I go any further, I want to take the time out to big up Lady ABR News TV. People remember ABR out there and right fighting right the battle as it relates to good governance. So what I want to do, we have what 592 people, 610 already in the chat. Please just go over Lady ABR TV and bless her up, love her up, right? Because she deserves to be loved. Yeah, right now we have our expert witness in the house. We have Ratigan, former right FBI supervisor, and I know that Ratigan work on his mic, you know, because Ratigan know that tonight is going to be extremely hard. Oh yeah, and again we know that. All right, we have Headboy that will be coming in a little bit later because Headboy is traveling, and as soon as he landed, right, he has his laptop, he's going to tune in, right, and you know he's going to join us. But I am happy for tonight of all night that we have been here. Ratigan, go ahead.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, mic check, right. Mic check. All right, good people of Jamaica, blessings. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me just say hello to my fellow panelists, Melting Pot, Pinks, and of course, Lady Ann and Lord Byron. Looking forward to a spirited conversation tonight. Very revealing conversation tonight.
Very revealing.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that.
Oh, by the way, one quick thing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, before I forget, tomorrow night on Come Reason with Ratigan, our special guest will be Beverly Manley Duncan. You can't afford to miss tomorrow night. Tomorrow night at 7 sharp. 7 sharp. Thanks.
All right. Here you go. Remember, tune in to Ratigan tomorrow, right? That is going to be a wonderful show. All right. Before we begin, let us do our introduction with, of course, none other than Michael Manley, 1990, New York City. Right? As I said, I promise that tonight is going to be most energizing. Right, people, right, tuning in, right, it is extremely interesting. All right, let us begin with Michael Manley in New York.
All rise for the national anthem.
Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil power. Through our lives with countless stars. Through our leaders, great defenders, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Justice the people them love.
Take that away, honey. Right. I'm glad I am starting with this because what we are talking about, justice and truth, right, be forever. And we build on credibility, and we want our government to be truthful to us. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, of course, play Andrew Holness. I want for Jamaica people to see the level of evil that we are dealing with. I want Jamaican people to witness the level of evil that we are dealing with. Andrew Holness is 100% pure evil. Now, we are going to listen to Andrew Holness as it relates to FinSAC. And as we speak, we are all going to wonder what Mystic Sensation is going to reveal. But I want you to hear Andrew Holness speaking about FinSAC. Without any delay on it, let us bring up FinSAC. Let us begin with that. Put that away.
The FinSAC era set back the culture of entrepreneurship in Jamaica by decades. But it wasn't only that. There was an unrelenting assault on people who were involved in business, where business people were viewed as exploiters, called capitalists. If you were trying to earn a profit, somehow it was a dirty word. And so unwittingly, by high debt, by creating an environment of high interest rate where people didn't have to innovate, they could just lend money to the government and the government pay them back high interest rate, which they paid back by taxing the poor, which is why one member of parliament who is in the clergy had to comment in parliament, a government member of parliament, that that era represented the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich. That explains why I stand here today and why Minister Hill has to be such a strong advocate, almost like a missionary, in trying to get back a culture of entrepreneurship in Jamaica. There are those who will believe I'm making a political point. Of course I am. But if you stop there, you would miss the importance of the point being made. And the point that is being made is that the Jamaican economy, the Jamaican society cannot grow unless its entrepreneurial class grows. Unless we have people who are willing to mobilize capital, labor, technology, management, creativity, and put them together in an ecosystem to create value and to make a profit. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is how economies grow. But it works even better if we create the kind of entrepreneur who is also empathetic. So they are not just mobilizing capital, labor, technology, human resources, creativity for profit, but they are doing it in a sustainable and socially conscious way.
Now, my Jamaican people, when we all, listen to that, now you realize why I said Andrew Holness is 100% pure evil. We are going to get into the belly of the investigation tonight. We are going to get into the detail and show Jamaican people the evidence of what Edward Seaga, Andrew Holness, Dan Crawford, Ardley Shaw, and other JLP member of parliament had done. Evidence, none of them, right, can challenge. Now let us begin with the investigation. Now, first document is what being protected by the observer. And right now, if you are to try to get this document from the observer, it cannot be shared because it has been protected. But I screenshot that document. Search for the document. I screenshot that document, and we are going to read from that. I know after we discuss this tonight, observer is going to get rid of it. So let us take a bite into it before they do, because they are scrubbing the internet, right, as it relates to these evidence. So since this evidence reached in my hands, let us get into it tonight. Yes, go ahead, put up that
Which one do you want first?
document. The first one, document 1, yeah.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what we are going to prove tonight. We are going to prove that Edward Seaga's financial policies weaken the financial sector, thus created Ponzi schemes that destroy the business community. These Ponzi schemes benefited Edward Seaga, Andrew Holness, Audley Shaw, and other Jamaica Labour Party member of parliament. And that's the reason, the main reason as to why they don't want to reveal the FinSoc report. Now, let us begin, Chair.
Yeah.
Okay, let us begin in terms of reading this document that the observer protecting. Here it is. Cash Plus began its run in Jamaica in 2002 as an investment club promising lenders up to 120%. We will realize that in the Beresford investigation, Andrew Holness was a part of this, that Andrew Holness joined Cash Plus in 2005. Bang around there tonight, you know. 120% in annual returns for funds invested in the scheme, payable in monthly disbursements at a proposed rate of 10%. The fact that such a scheme was unsustainable may well have crossed the minds of some contributors, but given the potential windfalls, most simply ignored the pleading of advisors and plugged their monies in. The time-honored adage, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. That's what it meant. Never failed these contributors as the opportunity to make some free money was on the table. And in an economy such as Jamaica, it was every man and woman for himself or herself. Cash Plus, like its foreign exchange demarcated investment club counterpart, Olent, was born out of a combination of human greed and the part of the promoters and subscribers and an economic environment created by the political misadventures of those in government, especially in the post-1980 to 1990, which was Edward Seaga, who was in government. Anyone who wants to Google that information, yes, you will see that Edward Seaga was the person controlled this era as a prime minister. The use of short-term monetary policies to mop up what was termed excess liquidity on the island became a preferred course for, let us go to document number 2 on it. Let us go. We are showing the evidence as it relates to Seaga, who had written certain policies, and then not only that he had written certain policies, he waited until the People's National Party in power, and then he effect. So we are going to bring up that. And then he effect. Right?
That's the one you want, or you want the continuation?
The continuation. Maybe we are going in
Okay.
chronological order. Okay. Now let us go. The culmination of Carlos' ill matter, no doubt, has left a very bitter taste in the mouth of many, over 40,000 according to reports, and a yawning chasm in the pockets of perhaps many more. As the news filtered out last week, I could well imagine the shock that reverberated throughout the island and here in the diaspora as the reality of the situation of billions of dollars in losses to cash plus misadventure sunk in. As I said, Andrew Holness is a part of this. Right, let us go to the next document. Because remember, people, I have to screenshot the information because they lack it. They don't want it to be shared. Let us go to the next document. All right. Now, my people, the island became a preferred course for government policymakers. Government policymakers. A program that was founded in the Edward Seaga years. This is the document saying that. A program that was found in the Edward Seaga years and which legitimized the flow of ill-gotten foreign currency into the system to satisfy the island's punishing need for foreign exchange. As the river of funds swelled, it may have dawned on the so-called financial wizards that there was no corresponding production to match these funds. And the Bank of Jamaica use of treasury bills to mop up the excess funds only created more excess funds. As at some point, the interest on these instruments had to be paid. What this generated was an appetite, I want people to listen now, was an appetite for higher interest on the part of depositors. As government encouraged owners of funds to park their monies in the treasury bills and certificate of deposit instead of engaging in productive investment endeavors. Now, the 90s, right, were the years of speculation-led expansionism, where wealth was created on paper, aided and abetted by the government monetary policies. New policies directive saw the creation of a plethora of merchant banks, most of whom made money trading paper. The stock market ballooned. Now, what I did, my Jamaican people, I went and I found a research that was done as it relates to FinSAC. Let us get into the research on it and show Jamaica. Now, we are going to show Jamaica the level of wickedness as it relates to what Edward Seaga, right, had done. So remember now that 1980 to 1989, as it relates to the policies that Edward Seaga implemented, right, weaken the financial system. Weaken the financial system. Now, in the 1990, remember now that Michael Manley would have taken over. And I think Michael Manley served 3 years. So Michael Manley have to correct the situation as it relates to, right, saving, try to save the banking sector, right? But Michael Manley, he got sick. He didn't get to deal with the situation. So PJ Patterson, you understand, has to deal with the situation. All right. Let us get through in terms of the research that I did, right? And we give our executive summary, right? This research paper was compiled in order to analyze the causes of the 1990s failure of the Century National Bank in Jamaica. It provided symptoms to look out for in case of another financial crisis and prescriptions for the prevention of further damage and contagion to financial sector. Well, guess what? Andrew Holness, again, also jump into Cash Plus, Olink, and SSL. Andrew Holness did not take any heed Using a chronological timeline, the study outlines the events which led to the failure of Century National Bank. Research used this timeline to evaluate an hypothesis that the main causes for failure. Look at the main causes for failure. Here it is. Bulletin point number 1, failure to comply with proper internal control procedures. You are going to see in the Wikileaks investigation document that I'm going to reveal that Dan Crawford, who linked with the Jamaica Labour Party, did not obey any form of the internal controls. He took up money, right? $23 million US and loan it to Edward Seaga. As a matter of fact, give it to Edward Seaga. And not only that he had done that, Dan Crawford had given himself, right, his mother, father, right, I mean, investors' money, billions of dollars, right? You're going to see also that Ardley Shaw benefited from loans from Central National Bank, right? Now, another Jamaica Labour Party member. Now, liquidity problems which came about as a result of issuing high-risk loans. Here it is, people. Bulletin point number 2. Liquidity problems which came about as a result of issuing high-risk loans and later having a mismatch in maturities of the bank assets and liabilities. Now, hear this now. Because the PNP came in and started to pressure Dan Crawford, right, as a result of investors being hurt, and the People's National Party want to save the banking sector. This is what Dan Crawford is saying. According to Crawford, the government high-profile and frequent audits of the bank's account caused depositors to lose confidence in the bank and withdraw their money, leading to systematic risk. No, Dan Crawford. You were taking out investors' money and you were handing it out to your friends, majority of friends in the Jamaica Labour Party, including Edward Seaga, right? And as a result of the high-risk loans that you have given to Edward Seaga and many Jamaica Labour Party, right? There comes the 90s financial meltdown. Now, the intended audience of this paper, which includes students, other researchers as well. Let us go to the primary cause again. We're going to pass all of this background and century. We're going to go to the principal causes, right? We're not going through the chronological sequence because, you know, basically too much, you know, to go through. I want to go through the principal causes that when we go to the next document, you realize as it relates to the Jamaica Labour Party. Principal causes of failure. Central National Bank failure was mostly caused by the same reason that caused the sector to collapse in the 90s. One of the reasons for failure was the fact that many banks, including Central National Bank, failed to comply with proper internal control procedures. Here it is. It was reported that the former head of CNB, Mr. Crawford, was allegedly found to have authorized substantial unsecured loans to companies in which he had an interest, including loans to Edward Seaga. Tonight, a banga, tonight, serious. CNB high-risk appetite, which was becoming very common among the local banks at that time, caused the company to suffer the outcomes of exposing to credit risk, resulting in the company become illiquid, right? The Central National Bank has also been allowed to run up large overdraft at the BOJ to the tune of $4 billion. Take that document away on it. $4 billion. And I want the people them to think that if Central National Bank, right, damage alone $4 billion and include Paul Chenyong and associate with Hugh Croskery, who link with JLP, Jamaica Labour Party, then you can imagine that with Century National, with Parch and Young banks, right? Plus Century National Bank, 4 billion. You are looking Jamaica that they eat Jamaica Labour Party, eat Jamaica over $10 billion effect to the economy that caused the 90s meltdown. Okay. Based on that, they want to say, all right, Mystic don't prove anything. That's why I'm coming because I have the Wikileaks report and all of what I said. Now let us go to Wikileaks, and where Wikileaks is going to tell you specifically what transpired and who Dan Crawford lent the money to. Now let us get into it. Wikileaks. Let us get into that. So this is the United States document, right? Now, summary. Dan Crawford, former head of the failed Central National Bank, has lost his appeal to the Privy Council following a 1999 conviction. He was convicted by the People's National Party. Let us shout it out loud. Dan Crawford was pursued by the People's National Party and was convicted in civil court for financial fraud and has been instructed to repay about $45 million to the government of Jamaica. Although the Director of Public Prosecution has made a ruling on whether criminal charges will be filed, if this was Paula Llewellyn, Dan Crawford would have gotten away. That ruling has not yet been made public. Crawford, who resides in the US, was once the darling of the Jamaican banking sector. He was often lauded by the government of Jamaica officials for his foray into non-banking areas at a time when investors were shunning the productive sector to benefit from the Irish interest rate regime. Now, what you have to remember, that the People's National Party take over, right, from the Edward Seaga led government from 1980 to 1989. So when they get into power, they couldn't just go in, right, and take out Dan Crawford just like that. They have to accept, right, certain policies that have been there and honor, right, as it relates to certain interest rate. So we want the people to understand. However, Crawford banks, which made a number of loans to connected parties, and this is Wikileaks, This is Wikileaks now in parallel with the research that we had just read, was soon to face a liquidity and solvency crisis and had to seek assistance from the state. Recognizing the extent of the deficit, the authorities took control of the bank. The People's National Party government took control of the bank and eventually what? Charged Crawford for financial fraud. So this goes to tell you that the People's National Party don't no hanky-panky. The People's National Party protect investors and will protect the banking system. Now you have seen what happened to SSL and the Jamaica Labour Party, right, where this government, right, chose not to protect investors and chose not to intimidate Hugh Croskery or even investigate Hugh Croskery. So we are pointing out that specifically clear as it relates to the difference between People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party. Now, it is widely believed that his close affiliation with the opposition Jamaica Labour Party, so see the paper, see the evidence there, let me read it over. It is widely believed that his close affiliation with the opposition Jamaica Labour Party did not help his cause, as no other banker has been charged. Crawford lawyers are in the process of discussing payment, which, if made, would provide a much needed windfall to the cash-strapped government of Jamaica. Now, the UK-based Privy Council on October 10 ruled that Dan Crawford and former top executives of the failed Central National Bank must pay the government of Jamaica an estimated US $45 million in principal and interest for unsecured loans made ahead of the bank collapse in 1996. So they are talking about 1995. And we are going to speak how Andrew Holness has now been connected between 1995 and 1996. Because Andrew Holness, right, was doing financial advisory work, right, for Edward Seaga. Let me speak it out here loud and clear. 1995 to 1996, in terms of the collapse of Central National Bank, Andrew Holness was doing financial work, right, for Edward Seaga. We have the document that we are going to prove it to the people so that the people can follow. The Privy Council is expected to announce the final amount payable to the state when it hands down its written judgment later this month. The Privy Council's ruling arose from the appeal of March 1999 decision by Jamaica Chief Justice Leslie Wolf, in which he berated the actions of Crawford and another top executive, Cable Williams, who he described as rogue bankers. You know, hear that, people? Rogue bankers. They were busy helping themselves to the bank funds. You know, when we look at this and we look how Edward Seaga, right, manipulate, right, the process and went in and partially, I would say just partially robbed the bank under the pretext of getting a loan from Dan Crawford. That's basically what happened, right? Because Edward Seaga, who has the portfolio minister of finance, should have known much better, right? And know that what he had done, you understand, is simply criminal, basically. Now, Wolf said in his judgment at the time, these payments constitute a misapplication of the bank's funds. However, Crawford, who reportedly resides in Atlanta, right, because he's doing things around away, was once regarded as a model banker, and government of Jamaica functionaries viewed his bank as a blueprint. Crawford was often lauded by government of Jamaica officials for venturing into non-banking areas such as real estate at a time when investors were shunning productive investment to benefit from the government of Jamaica high interest rate policy, right? Now, ironically, it was Crawford's foray into non-core activities, which was partly responsible for the bank's demise. More to the ear to the people. As a number of unsecured loans, this is what we are talking about, what caused the financial meltdown. As a number of unsecured loans were made to connected parties to finance these investments. In particular, the bank loans to companies owned by Crawford. Look, people, let us get into this carefully and hear who the loans went to. In particular, the bank made loans to companies owned by Crawford, you hear it? His mother and former opposition leader and Prime Minister Edward Seaga. You hear that, people? Let me read it over. In particular, the bank made loans to companies owned by Crawford, his mother and former opposition leader and Prime Minister Edward Seaga. From this, also Adley Shaw, right, got loans from as well, and several members of the Jamaica Labour Party. One such loan was made to an affiliated company to construct over 700 room, you understand, hotel. The unsecured loans to connected parties took a toll on the liquidity and solvency of the bank when they could not be financed. Take that away. Where am I going now? I'm going to say bang around here tonight while we take our time to juggle along to prove the evidence that we are going to prove tonight. Let us get to the document to show Jamaican people, right, as it relates to Andrew Holness and Edward Seaga, right, where Andrew Holness, right, worked with Edward Seaga. to tie him with the FinSac saga. Let us show that document and show Jamaica people what Edward Seaga said about Andrew Holness. Edward Seaga said he did not bring Andrew Holness in his political affairs. He brought him in his business affairs. Let us read that over. Edward Seaga said he did not in 1995 to 1996. This is where we are going to tie this.
Okay.
Most honorable. No, a document. Hold on, let me get it. It's a document.
Because you're pointing to the TikTok of the document.
Okay. All right, let us bring up that document.
This one?
Yeah, that is it. No, hold on, Jamaican people, because I don't want. Here's my phone. Here's my phone. Sir, this cable document. Here's my phone.
The protege one?
Yes, the protege.
Okay.
Hold on, before we get there. Sorry, honey. Before we get to link Andrew Holness to Edward Seaga, let us play the TikTok document to hear what Andrew Holness is saying. Sorry, my people, because I want to go into chronological sequence to link the case tonight. Listen to Andrew Holness, people.
Whatever little I made in life, I made it just like you. I buy 2 taxis.
Yes.
Then I open a taxi company and I go through the struggles just like everybody else. I want to thank those who thought that by releasing documents that they would somehow diminish me. I am a true Jamaican. I went through the Jamaican struggles and I never made any money on the backs of the Jamaican people. I never made any money off of government. When it was proposed to increase my salary, they go around and tell lie. Man in a bar, I say, oh, me make $28 million. I said, really? You never realize that I didn't take any salary increase. My salary today is about $9 million. That's what average salary. The other man who claimed him a Tapanaris, who claim him not need no money from government, him take it, and you don't know when doing it. But I never take it. Who is truly for Jamaica? Every day I read my Bible and I pray, and I want to thank all the Jamaicans who pray for me. Make me tell them and them friends, no weapon that they are conspiring to form against me shall prosper. When I see my friend.
Take him away, honey. No weapons that form against you shall prosper, and you have not made any money on the backs of taxpayers. Let us go to the evidence to link you and Edward Seaga in the 1995 and 1996 financial meltdown, and where you work for Edward Seaga. Let us show the Jamaican people. You can't fool the people, Andrew Holness. We know you. Andrew Holness, the protege, former Prime Minister Edward Seaga, reflects an honest journey to Jamaica House. Right? Former Prime Minister Edward Seaga met Andrew Holness while he was executive director of the voluntary organization for the upliftment of children, VOCH, a social service organization that operates in inner city communities. Given Seaga's own work in the area of social services, he immediately identified Holness as someone with whom he wanted to partner with. All right. Surprisingly, that initial relationship of the former Prime Minister and the newly inaugurated Prime Minister had little to do with politics, as I mentioned earlier. This is Edward Seaga saying, open quote, I didn't incorporate him into my political operation. What he had done, I incorporated him into my business operations, where we could still carry out the same benefits and investigation of the people who were in need, as according to Seaga. During the period in 1995, when he worked as a special assistant to Seaga at the premium group of companies, where Andrew Holness was dealing with Edward Seaga financial affairs. Holness' political interest and ambition became apparent then. Now, we want to just prove that in terms of where we are going, because Andrew Holness is going to get into trouble. Now, take it away. My panel, before I bring you in, I just want to link the case, so be patient with me, right, until I link how serious this case is. Now, where am I going? My Jamaican people, this is very serious. Some time ago into 2017, Andrew Holness went on nationwide and tried to explain that he came into the politics with $47 million. My Jamaican people, I found that $47 million. So then I'm going to ask the question. If Andrew Holness indeed came in with $47 million, we know now that Juliet Holness lied. Juliet Holness went on a public platform and said in 1997, when they got married, they didn't have any money. Telling Andrew Holness to be one of us, coming from the poor and needy, coming from the bosom of the poor. Juliet Holness blatantly lied to the Jamaican people. I want people to listen to what I'm saying tonight. Now, my Jamaican people, I'm going to show you the evidence as it relates to what he said to Apka Fitz-Henley. Without any delay, lift up that document. Holness makes finances public. Posted by Apka Fitz-Henley, 17th of June, 2016. Prime Minister Andrew Holness say he has asset value at just over 151 million. His liabilities currently amount to just under $35 million. Holness disclosed his total assets and liabilities this afternoon in an interview with Nationwide News. The Gleaner and the Observer newspaper, Mr. Holness is the first Jamaican Prime Minister to publicly declare his assets and liabilities since P.J. Patterson made his declaration public in 2002. Mr. Holness made available to the media today his last 10 Integrity Commission declarations. They date from 2007. And we are saying to Andrew Holness, from 1998, from you are declaring none of those statutory declarations can be certified. Even though the Integrity Commission investigators certified from 1998 to 2000, based on what they found now, and external investigators found evidence that you did not disclose a lot of information, then it affects all of your statutory declaration. So Emily Shields cannot help you, Prime Minister. When he first became minister and now here it is, people. The Integrity Commission declaration showed that just before Holness became a minister 10 years ago, he had assets totaling just under $47 million. His liabilities in 2007 were just under $4 million. Take it away. Take it away. Now, panel, where do I go from here? How did I find Andrew Holness $47 million? And how did I discover that Juliet Holness is lying? So if I find Andrew Holness $47 million, obviously, Juliet Holness is lying, and you will all agree, right? Now let us look at this. Now, let us get into this document before Rattigan come back. Now, let us get into the Beresford affidavit. I am going to show you what Andrew Holness had done. And we are going to get and show the evidence. Now, 1998, remember that Andrew Holness worked for Edward Seaga between 1995 and 1997. I want my Jamaican people to bear in mind that Century National Bank crashed 1996. Edward Seaga would have processed the loan prior to the crash. Now watch this. As I said, Andrew Holness worked for Edward Seaga between 1995 and 1996. And 1996 is when Century National Bank crashed. Now look at this, people. We are going to look on the total asset line here. In 1998, what the Prime Minister had done, look at that line. From out of the 47, he take time pushing 350,000 in small increments. Why did Andrew Holness doing it in small increments? If Andrew Holness had put the entire $47 million in all at once, he would have been flagged by the Office of the Contractor General. So Andrew Holness was now putting in the money in small increments. Look, 1998, 350,000, right? Now let us go to 1998 again. He made some, improvement there, putting some squeezing, he take out some, right? Use that. In 1999, here is where he's squeezing some more, 964,000. In 2000, here it is, where he's squeezing some more into the banking system. In 2001, here it is again, him squeezing some more, 2,375,000. I want you to look, people. In 2002, here it is again, right? He take out a little. 2003, right? He take out some as well. Now, 2004, getting a little bit careless. He's squeezing what we see where it reaches 10,668,000. Now, watch this now, people. Remember, as I said, Andrew Holness worked with Edward Seaga between the period 1995 to 1996, right? Now, watch this, people. In 2005, Andrew Holness put roughly about $2 to $3 million in cash plus. So you see that. Now watch this, people. In 2005, he joined cash plus, put a little money in cash plus, right? And in 2006, right? Of course, he squeezed in some, hiding that, right? Under, right, the sheet of cash plus, because he did not put in a lot. He put in roughly about $2 to $3 million in cash plus, but he was able now to push in that. Now in 2007, here it is, people, where Andrew Holness becomes the Prime Minister, the Minister of Education. The Minister of Education. Let me just put this here, showing the $47 million. Here it is. We are going to talk. The $47 million, right? Andrew Holness now empty that now into the system. Now, remember people, 2007, being the minister, Andrew Holness also met up with Gavin. This is all now Andrew Holness now increases greed. We are going to show you what happened in terms of Sarah Burton report. We are coming back to this report. Let us catch this to 2007 because here it is, the $47 million. There it is, so the people can see it. Now, let us go to Sarah Burton report to show what he had done, right, in terms of these increases from 47, 57 to 81. Let us go get to the Robert Gavin scenario. Bring up 18 degrees now. Yes, Andrew Holness, you cannot fool us. We are tracking you down. Okay, all right. So we see where you try to put in the money in small increments. We found you, Andrew Holness. Now, people, this is 2007 era now with Robert Gavin. We are going to get into this and we are going to get back to that report that I just suspend for a while. It's just because it reached 2007 and we want to build the chronological sequence. Now, Robert Gavin, whose company got millions of Jamaican dollars in government contracts, was also a director of foundation linked to Prime Minister Andrew Holness. All right, let me get into the matter now. After 18 Degrees North recently revealed how Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Positive Jamaica Foundation Limited, raised about 58.3 million US 486,182 between 2012 and 2020, right? With no specific as to the source of funding. 18 Degrees North has been taking a look, right, at the non-profit directors during that same time period. Now, watch this on, people. Some of them benefited from taxpayers' money shortly after or while being a director of the foundation, and another profit linked to Mr. Holness. Robert Gavin is one of them. Now, people, he served as director of Positive Jamaica alongside Mr. Holness from its inception in November 2011. The foundation was incorporated less than a month after Mr. Holness became Prime Minister for the first time. The relationship between Mr. Gavin and Mr. Holness date back more than 20 years. People will come. Mr. Holness had said that Mr. Gavin had worked for him in various capacities, including as project manager, liaison officer for his West Central St. Andrew constituency since 1997. You remember when I said last week that the first time Gavin meets Andrew Holness is in Edward Seaga office in 1997. Here is the evidence. Now, long before that job became an official position, 3 years later in 2000, Mr. Gavin also became a director of a non-profit West Central St. Andrew Trust, which he and Mr. Holness founded that year-long with others of the welfare, education, and development of the people in that constituency. Well, no development has not taken place in that constituency. So let me make the people know. Of note is that notification of his directorship status was only received by the company's office 7 years later in 2007. Right? Remember, we said that Andrew Holness, you understand, and we stopped the report 2007. You understand the link where this is coming from, connecting, right, the workings of Andrew Holness and Gavin in 2007. Now, watch this now. Mr. Gavin also shared directorship with Mr. Holness right, or his wife, Juliet, Unuyera people, and 3 other entities, Unukonga people, Bangarang, Sita, Omega Bridge Finance Limited, Sunshine Mobile Company Limited, and the Lido Taxi Service Limited. These are shell companies that don't really exist. These are makeup companies that you cannot find any form of business transactions or records within these companies. And here it is, Gavin is listed as a director, and here it is, Omega Bridge Finance, Sunshine Mobile Company, and the Lido Taxi Service, where the Prime Minister said him use free taxi and get him wealth. Why do you think I go and show Jamaica that I found the $47 million? I am going to get back there. So the question that we are going to ask, where did Andrew Holness get the $47 million from? Now, we could catch the question there, because that question, you know, Bangarang, that is at fire. That is lava. That is volcano. Now, as 18 degrees north first reported in a TV expose in May 2016, the Lido Taxi Service and Sunshine Mobile were removed. People, listen. 18 degrees north first reported in a TV expose in May 2016 that the Lido Taxi Service and Sunshine Mobile were removed from the registry by the company's office in 2011 and 2018. Because what's this now? Why 2011 and 2018? To show you that Andrew Holness is trying to wiping away evidence. In 2011, Bruce Golding stepped away, and Andrew Holness became Prime Minister. So of influence, right, as it relates to when he was the Prime Minister. Now, the following year, he had lost the general election. So what Andrew Holness went back to? Andrew Holness went back to conniving ways in 2018, respectively, right? For not having filed outstanding documents, right? Those the Lido Taxi Service, Sunshine Mobile was removed from the registry. While Mr. Gavin had this business relationship with the Holnesses, millions of dollars in government contracts. Listen now, people. Listen now, people. Some from areas, where Mr. Holness had influence were awarded to Westcon Construction Limited. And remember, Gavin and Juliet Holness listed as director in this company, a company backed by Mr. Gavin and a man named Donovan Simpson. Mr. Simpson told 18 Degrees North in 2016 expose, the three of us are friends. When you hear that? What is it? Okay, let me bring up Headboy in the background and then we get back to the document. Because we want Headboy, right? Let us bring up Headboy in the background. Tonight is serious. Okay. All right, Headboy. We soon get to you, Headboy. Thank you for passing through. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Holness, he also said Mr. Gavin and Mr. Holness are very close. As a result of the broadcast, this reporter, Global Reporters for the Caribbean LLC, the company behind 18 Degrees North and its Broadcaster Television Limited, were sued for defamation by both Mr. Holness and Mr. Gavin. So them sued Zara Burton, right, to highlight the level of wrongdoing that they were doing. But on a year now, look what happened, people. Both lawsuits were resolved under confidential terms. You know what that means? That means Zara Burton win the case. That means Zara Burton won won the case. That means that everything what Sarah Burton was speaking about Gavin, Robert Gavin and Andrew Holness is true. So I want Jamaican people to observe that. Now, what's this now? The resolutions don't disturb an earlier ruling in a separate legal matter giving 18 Degrees North and TVJ the right to rebroadcast the episode. Now, make me use the common sense. If Zara Burton did lose the case, then she couldn't rebroadcast, and we couldn't have this information today to read to you people, because she would have to take them down because she would have lost the case. But this is telling us that Sarah Burton had won the case. Take that document away. Honey, let us get back to the next document where we left off the 2007, because we are going to ask some very serious questions. Right? Headboy and the panel, I want you to just catch and let me just build the background. I want to make sure you want to take on the notes in. Right? Take on the notes, please. Now we could get back to 2007. Here it is, 47 million. Now this is a contract period between Andrew Holness and Gavin. Now, if you look here, so now, right, under the table, contract sweetened, Andrew Holness assets reach now $57 million. Now, by 2007 also, he went into Holland, but he put a few dollars in Holland, right? And 2008, we see Andrew Holness thing reach up to $81 million. Now, 2009, we see it extend to $87 million, climbing. 2010, it goes up to $89 million. 2011, $89 million, 700. 2011, $89,575,000, right? 2012, right? 101, right? Because you want no people. Remember now, you know, in 2008, when you look on the 81 million years so, in giant SSL, right? In 2008, he also, right, opened ADMAT and have ADMAT registered in St. Lucia. So all of them money, you understand that from 2008, right, prior to 2008, all of them money now would tie up in an ADMAT. I want to understand the thing, you know, all of them money now gone in an ADMAT 2008. So the reason why Andrew Holness have ADMAT in St. Lucia was not really to hide from tax. It has nothing to do with hiding from tax. Andrew Holness, right, ensure that ADMAT was in St. Lucia to avoid investigation into ADMAT, for ADMAT to explain the wealth of ADMAT. That's why Andrew Holness have ADMAT in St. Lucia. Now, 2009, more money. 2010, right, 89, 2011, right, look at 2012, Andrew Holness in SSL, right, from 2008, right, money being increasing. Remember, people, that the timeline between him and Gavin would have over. The timeline between him and Gavin is 2007 to 2009. Now you see that Andrew Holness making more money, because Andrew Holness in 2008 now involved in SSL. This is serious, people. Now let us get down to here. 2013, 117 million. 2014, 127 million. 2015, 125 million. 216, 125 million. 216, 136 million. 217, 144 million. Boy, the Prime Minister, the one, but 2018, 147 million. 2019, $163 million. Now, let me show you two documents, right? Honey, let us show the two documents as it relates to the investigation with the $470 million. And then the next document I'm going to bring in the panel. We're going to show Jamaica something very serious here. Watch this. Bring up the two documents. Tonight, Jamaica is going to learn about Andrew Holness. No, here's that two documents. Let me see if you write on the paper. Yes. We are going to bring up two serious documents. So this is one. Okay. One to the plus two.
This one?
No, we need this one. Right? And the $470 million. We want to show Jamaica something that is very serious, that Andrew Holness is in the pangs of hell. And so then I need also, I want if them can hashtag Emily Shields. Emily Shields need to see this, what I'm coming up with now. So Emily Shields, where are you, Emily Shields? I want you to answer a question for me, you know, Emily Shields. Now, let us bring up that document in terms of
That one.
Okay, yeah, I need this, but the other one with the Integrity Commission. You have that? This year?
Yeah.
All right, Jamaican people, I want you to look on this document because Andrew Holness is in serious trouble. See if we can find it. In 2018, Andrew Holness asset grew to $112 million. 2019, he withdrew some. 2020, Andrew Holness' total assets is $131 million. In 2021, we find where Andrew Holness' asset is $197 million. In 2022, Andrew Holness' asset is $200 million. You found it? Okay, yeah. Go to the next document. So 2022, right? His total asset is $200 million. Jamaica, I'm going to show you something when I'm funny. Look on this, Jamaica. Let us get to this document as it relates to what the Integrity Commission is investigating as it relates to Andrew Holness' three companies. And I'm going to show you something. I know say Headboy, right? It's lining up. So let me, share this document. Okay, let me just send it to wifey so wifey can just put it up because I want the people. Yes, so put it up. Let us see and show Jamaica something, right? And Emily Shields, I want you to see this. I want to see this. You run out, you can't see Andrew Holness. So let me show this why you can't see Andrew Holness. And I want you, Emily Shields, to explain this. All right. Can you? Okay, so it's going to be shared. All right. Put it to 20. 120. So, yeah, okay. I want the people to see this. Now, Jamaican people. Reduce the document again. Now, Jamaican people, I showed you the document in 2022 where Andrew Holness have $200 million that the Integrity Commission investigators pick up. Rattigan, the panel, Headboy, when you look on this, total assets $473 million. Between which period? Between 2020 to 2023. Then let me ask a question here, sir. Me have to ask a question here, sir. So then, in 2022, you only, the investigators only pick up 200 million that I showed previously. But here, Andrew Holness, between 2020 to 2023, running $473 million Jamaican dollars. So you are going to tell me that, right, between 2022 as it relates to the investigation, what the integrity, the IC pick up, you take 1 more year, 1 year, to add over $200 million. You hear this, Rattigan? You hear this, Headboy? Look on it. This show him 2020 to 2023, 473 million. I just showed that the previous document. You want to get back there on it? The previous document to show, right? Let us refresh the people memory. Look at these people. You are going to tell me that Andrew will take 1 year to rack up. Here it is, 2022 people. You are going to tell me that Andrew will take 1 year to rack up $200 million. $200 million. Take it away. Let me go to the panel. Now, I am going to ask, right, the persons who are coming down, right, 6 minutes to respond in terms of what we just showed. Now, for the experts, right, like Headboy, who understand, right, banking, right, we are going to allow Headboy longer time to express, because as an expert witness in terms of what I would call him. Also, Rattigan would allow Rattigan, right, some time to express what we had unearthed here today. Now, let me begin with our leading batsman to summarize what we had just shown here. Melting Pot. Put Melting Pot in the space.
Yes, sir, Byron. Yeah. And to everyone, what you have just shown, you know, is very interesting as it relates to Andrew Holness and his rise from, you know, obscurity to prominence as it relates to his wealth. Now, if we look at Andrew Holness, yeah, in the early 90s, we see that he was a student, yeah. By 94, he graduated from the University of the West Indies, and at the time, he was a delinquent student. Couldn't pay off his tuition. Now we know when he, you know, moved into some form of activity outside of schooling, and that was referred to as charitable work. And he said he spent 2 years there. Now we're looking at the period now from 1995 to 1996, where the spotlight now started to shine. And Andrew Holness, as he now started to have communication and affiliation with Edward Seaga, working for Edward Seaga as his financial director in his business Imperium group of companies. We also know that shortly after that, he met with Gavin, right? Robert Gavin. But just look at what the interview that he did with Fish Headless Apka revealed. It revealed that Andrew Holness came into politics with $47 million. Under no circumstance between the period of 1994 to 1997, Andrew Holness could never amass $47 million. Yeah, as it related to legitimate money. So it raised eyebrow based on that interview that he gave as to this individual wealth. So we are looking at skullduggery. So when Andrew Holness came out and started to ridicule the FinSac era as it related to the 90s meltdown, Andrew Holness was affiliated to that. Andrew Holness knew very well what happened there and then, because all these Ponzi schemes crashed under the Jamaica Labour Party regime. Every single one of them. They were constructed under the Labour Party regime and them crashed them under the Labour Party regime, which give a clear indication of corruption, skullduggery, and Ponzi scheme. So there is no way Andrew Holness can discredit FinSac. FinSac was set up by the People's National Party after the meltdown of Eagle Merchant Bank and Century National Bank. Those two unregulated banking systems cost Jamaican over $10 billion because it was Ponzi scheme. It wasn't physical investment that was done with investors' money. And what they used to attract the investors around them was this exorbitant amount of interest, 120 per annual, and offering the investors a 10% monthly reimbursement. So we know that was too good to be true. And even though people was, given the heads up as to what was happening because of what people could make on the ground in terms of the windfall profit, people still put their money in there. It crashed. Everybody lose, and we know it crashed. Yeah? As it related to cash plus, then we know Edward Seaga get 31 million. We know Dan Crawford took over nearly 300 million. And that was disbursed.
Correct that. Not cash plus. Century National Bank.
Century National, right? Century National, yeah. We know Dan Crawford took 275 million, right? Edward Seaga got 31 million, and we know
US
that
US.
Yeah. Right? Those money were distributed to family members linked to Dan Crawford, and it going to them more personal business affair at the expense of the investors. So there is the background as it relates to what was happening then, right? Now, when it come along to what took place in 2007, we know Robert Gavin and Andrew Holness come together. Yeah, after they met in 1997, and this was the period when Andrew Holness was Minister of Education, and we know a lot of contract award was given to Robert Gavin, and so Andrew Holness, wealth start to swell because these contracts were contract that would suit both of them.
All right, Pat, time up on you there. So thanks for the input, wonderful input, right? So far in terms of the analysis that you provided for us. Now I want to move to Headboy, right? Headboy, can you come into the space? Put Headboy up into.
Good night to you. Good night, Melting Pot. Good night to Sir Rattigan and to Pink Green, the lady from the West, Montego Bay. Yes, let me greet you all well. It's been an hectic day, gentlemen, because I was stuck in an airport for almost 6 hours. So I'm finally at my destination. So but this report now from Mr. Holness, right? And I went through because I missed most of the introduction. So whilst you were speaking, I was going back to look back at some of what you were putting up in terms of the articles. The very first thing that struck me is the report you got from Wikileaks,
Yes.
which mentions how the $45 million came about. Yeah, and
Yes.
that is the monies that Mr. Seaga had borrowed from Don Crawford. Yes, and
Yes.
in fact, it was not totally 45 million because in fact it incurred interest that brought it to 45. Yeah. So when you look at that, and then make the connection with Mr. Crawford, Seaga borrowing from him, and Andrew Holness being the office attendant or the office director in Mr. Seaga's office. Now, when we come full stream to 93, Andrew Holness is now finishing university, as so ably mentioned by Melting Pot. Yeah. However, one of the challenges that we see here that is very questionable and should ask, in 93, Mr. Holness's face was featured in the Jamaica Gleaner for owing student loan. Yes? When we come now, his income after becoming a member of parliament was steady. It was $350,857. Yeah? That was steady during that period. However, to go back to come forward, Mr. Holness said he came into the politics with 47 million. Remember, he said that. So I'm going to leave it right there and then go to the other point.
Yes.
So he could not declare where. So in 93, he couldn't pay his debt. He told us, he and his wife told us they couldn't keep a wedding. Yeah? But from a financial point of view, we now come to the Beresford's affidavit. And this is where it gets really troubling as somebody who understands banking. Now, one, remember, we had a limit on what you could. So, for example, the $10 million that Mr. Holness claimed he put into the Sunshine and the Lido deal, particularly the Sunshine deal. Yes? We ask the question, where does Mr. Holness get that money from? Because when you look throughout the affidavit and throughout there is no mentioning of where that $10 million came to pay the gentleman to purchase the taxi. We know he didn't pay the full sum because there was a loan from Estate Bridge. Now I want to touch Estate Bridge because you taught me something today that I didn't know, Mystic. Because I didn't know that Gavin was a part of Estate Bridge.
Yes.
So now, when we ask the question, who put the $4 million in the ATM? I'm going all over the places now, but I'm coming back to where I'm coming from. Now, how is it that the same Robert Gavin, a director of the companies, at least 3 companies of the Prime Minister, which by itself is a conflict of interest, yeah? You cannot be a close associate of an MP, be them personal friends and be getting contracts from them. It can't happen. Yeah. So let us look now on the financial part of this report. In 2000, you refer to the 47 million that he spoke of. But we see the appreciable net income of Mr. Holness with no clear indication of where the income, for example, for Positive Media, for Imperium Holdings, yes? Particularly, the one that strikes me the most is the one that was opened in September. And that would have been, if I'm not mistaken, that would be Imperium, correct?
Yeah, you're correct.
That would be Imperium, yeah? But Imperium didn't do Imperium was not doing any business like that. So the question, ask yourself, Mr. Holness talked about starting the politics with 47 million. But when you look at the opening of Imperium, which was opened, by the way, on September the 7th, the new company, September the 7th, and was financed by a $50 million deposit within seven days after, September the 14th, 2021, the very same period that we saw these huge transactions happening. So I asked myself the question, what occurred during 2021 that would cause Mr. Holness and his company's network to grow so big? I further quizzed and I said, what could really be this issue? Why would a $50 million deposit come into an account? No explanation where it comes from, who donated that. So I asked a question in the wider Caribbean, Ratty. Yes? And I said to somebody that was in government, are you aware if there were any donations given to the region during the pandemic, during 2021? The gentleman said to me, yes, there were donations given, and I can tell you, we received over 250,000 USD. Yes? For persons with disabilities to be given the support. So I want to ask the question to the Prime Minister. This $50 million suspicious deposit in this account that was opened on September the 7th, what is the source of funds for that account? One. Let us fast track to the other part of the discussion. And let me bring up the data here because I don't want to quote from my head. Yes? Mr. Gavin and his wife and Juliet Holness and the wife shared directorship in these companies. And we know that. But I'm getting to the financial part. I'm trying to bring up the finances. Let me get the finances here. Yes, this was what I wanted. So it's the table of assets and liabilities. Yeah. If you look at Mr. Holness's growth in his network, yes, his total asset in 2018 was 1.112 million. Yeah. In 2019, it was 111. In 2020, it was 131. In 2021, it was 197, and 2002, it was 200 and something. But that is his assets in JMD. Let's go look at his network, because assets minus liabilities equal your network. Yes.
Yes.
Now, if we look at his network in USD, we will realize that his total network in 2018, and the network is going to give you an interesting thing. Mr. Holness says in 2018 his assets are 112 million, but his net worth in JMD is only 89 million. Yes?
Yeah.
Now it would be interesting to ask what are these assets, because if his 89 million is his assets and you less 89 from 112, then you will get what he's saying the assets that he has value, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
However, when I do a little deduction, and I'm not a numbers man because I use calculator, yeah? So let me bring up my calculator and I'll show the public how Mr. Holness is indeed a liar. Yes, and he's been lying for a long time. 112 minus, that's what, 89 is his network there? Yes, 89.
Yes, 89.
And we'll show the public. So Mr. Holness is telling us that his assets that he has, and assets means his vehicle and his properties, come up to $32 million. No, you see the craziness here, and we could go on, and if we do 2019 and do the same thing. These were the first things that struck me, because you see, in order to understand where people's wealth come from, you have to have a determination of their true net worth, what them invest in, whether them have papers, whether they have live investment, I mean fixed assets or non-fixed assets. Yeah. Now the other part I want to look at. So we have showed to you just 2018 alone, right? And you have the chance, go in the report and see it for yourself, assets versus liability, and divide them up. And based upon what we saw in Beresford's report, we realized that this can't be true, because he had bought the Sheraton property up in Red Hills, up in Cherry Gardens, or Beverly. He had then bought another property on Barbican, right, during the same period. So how could you report having 32 million in asset? That is not making any sense. Yeah?
Not making any sense.
It's not making any sense. Then when we go to, let's go now to the next section of the report, which I want to, this one is the one I really want to highlight. The institutional section of the report, which is very worrying. Yeah? And it has to do with the inter-network deposits and withdrawals. Because that, in any person in banking, that is the first thing that should frighten you. Yeah? No, I moved a little bit down here. I'm trying to look at the inter-deposits and withdrawal. There's a thing you had put up there that showed inter-deposits and withdrawal. Yeah? Okay, yes, here we are. I've just found it. Yeah? So this one was the one you had mentioned. Right? Look at, let me bring it a little bit more down here. Look at Positive Media's report for that. Could you get the Mystic, could you get the 2020 June? Okay, I'm seeing it fully now, no problem.
Yeah.
Right, so look at the internet deposit. Estate Bridge is the account holder. Yeah, and by the way, Estate Bridge has 3 different sub-accounts. 3 accounts. Well, one main account called 20 and 25. So 20 is the main account, 25 is a sub-account of that, and 35 is another sub-account. Yeah? Now, the main account is the one that says NCB 20, ending 20.
Yeah.
Yeah? The inter-network deposits is a 145 million. The inter-network withdrawals was 20.7 million. Yeah? 20.76.97.
Yeah.
Now, what is the...
I'm sharing the document so that people can see it as well. What you're talking about. Yes.
So what is the point that I'm trying to make here? Why am I looking at these inter-deposits? If you realize what is happening here, Mr. Holness is doing the sub-accounts to mask the real distribution. And looking beyond, yes, looking beyond, we can see that what is really happening here is, in fact, because how could you have an inter-network deposits, right? So it means that within the same, these 3 companies that I highlighted here, Estate Bridge, I want people to understand what it means, yeah? It means that the total volume of transactions between these companies here was that 145 million. You with me?
Yes.
Because how do you do it? If you look at so it means it's for Estate Bridge. But if you look at Imperium, yeah? If you look at Imperium now, number 66, it's 148 million.
Yeah.
Right? Which means that the deposit, the inter-network deposit has grown by about roughly 3 million, or a little bit under 3 million. But look at the withdrawals now at there, starting at Imperium 66. It's 150 million.
Mm-hmm.
You with me?
Yes. Yeah.
So one of the issues that I think could possibly happen in here, I don't think Mr. Holness gave the Integrity Commission all of the accounts he has.
This is an overdraft.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which means that he has you're correct. He has overdraft to the system, which allows him. However, why is a prime, and this is the problem I have with the banking system in Jamaica. Tell me what business estate bridge is doing right here with the 150, which is the overdraft. So they were overdrafted by about 2 million because they were 148. Yeah?
Yeah, by about 2 million, yeah.
What sort of business?
But hold on there, Headboy. I want you to look at Estate Bridge, because look at the overdraft for Estate Bridge.
3501. It's 100
3501.
as opposed to 24 million deposit.
Right?
Oh
Yeah,
man,
but 20
this one just hit me. Sorry, you know, me never see it. So it's 200
exactly. Yeah, but 24 million here, so.
and a 100.
They have $70 million overdraft.
So this is serious.
Let me tell you, this is where I was heading to when I was talking about it. Mr. Holness, by definition, is a PEP, a PEP, a politically exposed person. Typically, banks do not allow, it is internationally, from the Panama Papers were exposed, banks were told when you're onboarding PEP, there is a process that you need to do. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What we saw with the first account opening with no deposit, yes, was in itself a violation. But to come to make this point, what the bank has done here with a 73,000 overdraft for a company that has its total, a 73 total internet work deposits amongst this company was really 145. Yeah.
But
so
again, I want you to pay attention to account 25.
Yes.
Nothing there.
Nothing take out of there. You know what that is?
Yes.
That's a holding account, my friend. Nothing can, more than likely, this is a checking account. Yeah?
Yes.
Because the reason why I could tell you more than likely it's a checking account, because if you realize it might, most people nowadays don't use checks. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why no transaction is occurring in this account, because it's just merely a holding account, and then it allows the funds to be subletted to the others, and then this is really the account. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because typically that's what happens when you have sub accounts. You have one that is the when you have couple main account and sub account, you have one that does most of the activities. So this really is just like when put him little small money to stay, and if you realize it says there is no deposit, it's only withdrawal. Yeah?
Yes.
So that is the purpose. Now let us look at this one. Which the other one again, Barita IM52, because I want to beat them bad this evening too, you know.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now this is the Barita where we saw, so this is a deposit because it's not a withdrawal. Let me look again, go properly here. Let me see if I look on the screen, on your screen, because mine is going bad. 1 second.
Yeah.
All right. So on your screen, it is showing me now Barita MIM 24. So it means that this is the 24,000 we're seeing, 24 million we're seeing here. That is a withdrawal, correct? Or a deposit?
Yes, that's a withdrawal. That's a withdrawal.
Withdrawal. Okay. Now, remember, we understand the 50 million loan we him saying get from Barita, no sir?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's doing a withdrawal of 24. Yeah?
Yes.
But where's the deposit? Where's the activity? Where's the interconnected activities to this? So you know what happened? Barita sent the funds directly to this Imperium account, the so-called loan we claim him get. But ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say it, and I'm at the risk of embarrassing the Prime Minister and Barita this evening. I'll say it. There was no loan given to Mr. Holness. Do you know where that $50 million come from? It was a pay you for the urban center in St. Thomas.
What the backside is.
I have been sitting down and watching this for a long time. When I look at the operations of the urban center, first, there are 3 investors in the urban center. It's Barita, NCB Financial Group, China Harbour Engineering Company, and by virtue of its office, the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, because of what it does. Yeah? When you look at the ROIs, the return of investments from the project out at Morant Bay, and as our goodly former mayor for St. Thomas said the other day, for Morant Bay said the other day, they're asking them to pay 10 point something million a month now for them rent. If you look at the cost of the urban center, it's 5 billion. No, 5 billion then, sir? Yeah? Or 6 billion? One out of the two.
I think that's fine.
5. Okay. Do you know that the St. Thomas Parish Council in 1 year would be able to pay at least 1/3 of what is the cost of doing the cost of doing the project at Morant Bay? You know, down there. Do you know that the courthouse that is supposed to go there also would have to pay? Do you know all the government offices that are going to go in there will have to pay? And they're going to have more, some of them might, the courthouse is going to have more space than the parish council because they're paying per square footage. I am suggesting to you that Mr. Holness is an investor in the urban center. I am saying everything looks clear to me that he's an investor in the urban center. My other question would be, who are the other investors? Looking beyond, who are the other investors? My question would be to Mr. Man in Western St. Thomas, sorry. Are you an investor in the urban center? My question will be to the Charles family. Are you guys investors in the urban center? Do you know where the urban center sits? Lies on the lands that belong to the Charles family?
There you go.
Hello?
Connect it, Headboy. Connect it.
Do you know that the land they sit on belongs to the Charles family and it was subletted to FCJ? FCJ needs to come and tell us. You, Mr. Shirley, a very wicked man, you know. Littleton Shirley, very wicked man. I have no regard for him. Yeah?
Goodness.
Littleton Shirley, who takes government money like it's his own. Remember where Mitchell's Auto Parts is on Agley Park Road? Yeah? Has now become the office of Desmond Mackenzie, which is owned by the Littleton Shirleys. The same disabled school that is on, that they had to close the door because they couldn't get government subvention, because they couldn't pay the rent. You know who owned the same building on Agley Park Road? Littleton Shirley. Let me go again. This urban center, you see, that is why Holness could not say why he was. Remember now, he gave Barita fake documents. Now, within the securities market, anywhere in the world, when you present a fake document to purchase securities, do you know that's similar to a financial crime? It's a crime. Because you have misrepresented to the securities or to the Jamaica Stock Exchange. He gave them a title for a property that did not belong to him.
Whoa.
He said that this property is what he's using to stand up a property near him, Beverly Hills property. The other piece of land him have that Kearsburn told us that he's building another apartment on. So I say to you, this Barita situation is deeper than we think. Now, that is why Holness could not and will not say to us why he was borrowing the charity money from Barita. Why? Because this is the kickback. You cover me to say you give me a loan, but is really an investment. You are telling me thank you for allowing me to be the preferred bidder and the preferred company to invest in the urban center.
Whoa.
And it needs to be said, because I've been looking at it, needs to be said. Now, look at positive media, because I don't want to overstretch Barita. Look at positive media, because this is where it gets really nasty at positive media. Positive media's contracts, and if you don't access to information, Do you know Positive Media gets contracts from the office of the Prime Minister?
No, I never know that.
Yes, they do. And they claim that the contracts they get is for the effect of promoting this, that. Yeah, they do. And Sirati shaking him head, they do. Now, when I looked at it, knowing who the directors of Positive Media are, including the fact that the two close associates, Robert Gavin, by the way, and Robert, come to the front of the class. Weren't you a liaison officer for China Harbour Engineering Company?
Here we are again.
Oh, Jesus.
Are you serious, Headboy?
I have been saying it, and Gavin has not been denying it. He was a liaison officer for China Harbour Engineering Company. He was appointed liaison officer by Mike Henry. And when they came out of power and came back, he was appointed liaison particularly for the St. Thomas project.
What the backside is? Wow.
So that is why Westcon, why you think the Prime Minister was afraid about the report for Westcon? Because that Westcon report shows that it shows the web between him, Gavin, and Simpson, and the wife.
And the wife, yes. Mighty God. No.
Gentlemen, I don't have anything much to say because I think we have found the culprit for the Morant Center, and I yield. So the 50 million that we saw deposited in the account that him claim was a loan,
yes,
no, and him say charity money him take, it was a gift. It was a hush pay meant for giving us the urban center. And I yield to you and Rati.
All right, hold on, Headboy. Before you go, let me just ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
In 1995, between the period 1995 and 96, let us just go back there for a little while before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
1995 and 1996. 1996, you have Central National Bank crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And based on how we look on the Beresford affidavit, see where the money being put in small increments.
Yes.
Where do you think that Andrew Holness got that $47 million from?
You know, I said it on my good friend Wilfred Rattigan's program that I am of the view that now the Seagas should hate Andrew Holness because Andrew Holness stole Seaga's money. He stole Seaga's money from his company. But me no feel sorry for Seaga, you know, because you thief from a thief, God smile, you know. so when I saw it, I said it, Ratty would tell you, Pani Saturday, I said it, Pan Ratty program, I said, Ratty, you know, say Seaga money this. No, let me prove why it is Seaga's money. Yeah, let me show you. And every laborite in Jamaica should disassociate themselves from Andrew Holness, who stole from the ultimate leader, Wandan. Yeah? And if him can't thief from Wandan, who else will he steal from? Yeah? Because the only thing is true, Seaga never catch him to beat him like when beat Desmond. But on a serious note now, even though we're making light, let's get to the serious point of it. When you look at what happened, you saw the trickling of the $10 million being offered for the taxi. That was the first deal. Yeah? Then we come down now to Cash Plus. We see 3 million come there.
Yes.
Then he did a series of purchases before he became minister because he wanted to justify having those assets around 2006.
Yes.
Let's go further and why we can prove that it is the trickled money because this man is a money launderer. I said plain old. Because he kept that $47 million from he was working for Mr. Seaga. Yeah? And he trickled, because you see, this is called placement, layering, yeah, and integration. He had that money for so long. The taxi business, by the way, the same business bring down Pablo Escobar. That 2 taxi alone him did that. Yeah? The taxi business could not generate that revenue that he had So him now have to start look at different avenues of putting the 47 million. So that's how him get caught in all in and cash plus.
Yes, and that's when we find him.
And that's how we find him. And by the own admission of his wife, if his wife, that her wedding was no big wedding, no posh wedding, but we'll get there.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm certain you will get there, Sir Byron. But
Thank
the
you.
point I'm making for solid fact that it is Seaga's money. In
All right.
the first deposit of 3 million into Cash Plus, remember, up to 2007, Mr. Holness's salary had not reached 3 million yet. He was a member of parliament. He was not a minister. His salary was not 3 million. So where you get $3 million for putting a Cash Plus, I put it to you, my learned friends, brothers and sisters, that it is the very same monies that he kept for a long period of time, and he started to trickle it in and layer it in. And the very perfect time to have done it was to put it in Olint and Cash Plus. Because remember too that Olint was a financier for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Yes.
Olint, David Smith, and I'll call him name, Ian Moore, Darrell Vaz, and Bruce Golding were the ones flying around in the helicopter dropping off the money. I know because that money destroyed Horace Daly in 2007 and Richard Azan.
Mighty God. Wow.
So why was Holness putting money in Olin and the JLP members putting money in Olin? Because the only way they could justify the monies they steal is by putting it in Olin and then saying then get it back in what they had invested. If you are a close friend of any banker, you can go to them with 50 million dirty and they give you 25 clean. Dubai does that. Yeah? And they make it look as if these things are coming from investments. What Mr. Holness has taught the average Jamaican is if you have good friends in the banks in Jamaica, if you have good friends in high places, you can breach every financial rules in Jamaica and get away with it with no implications of what can happen. Mr. Holness, by virtue of being a PEP, a politically exposed person, should not have so many accounts. Should not. And if he does have accounts, those accounts must come under a company. But as I yield to you, my friend, the most worrying part of all of these discussions is the nil return. Filing nil return. Ratty knows as an attorney, any company you have, even if it's $50 you make, you have to put down the $50 and make the state decide what they're going to take from you. By virtue of his position as Prime Minister of the country, Mr. Holness has found himself tainted because he can no longer speak confidence. How could a Prime Minister have company earning $50 million? $4 million being put on an ATM machine by his good friend that was with him in the same company. I won't call his name because I know his who. I know his who. I know his who. And it was not the Chinese who put the money in case you're thinking it was the Chinese. It was not them. But I yield to Ratty and I yield to you, my friend.
Thank you, Headboy. I really appreciate the input in terms of how you're breaking it down, right? Okay, without any delay, let us bring our lady that we are squeezing in the middle. Now, Sister Spinks, right? Come to the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Uncle Byron. It's good to hear and see the evidence of the timeline of the crimes committed by the Crime Minister of Jamaica. And it is so true what you said earlier. He is so evil because he took, just like how the devil took the scriptures of the Bible and twist them to try and make a point and manipulate people. That's exactly what he did in the first speech that he made. He should have said the cause of FinSac You understand me? And when he's trying to talk about how a member of the clergy, who we know who it is, made a statement about the transfer of the wealth from the poor to the rich happened during that financial crisis. Yet yes, it happened because that was what they were planning to do. From day one, Seaga is the architect behind that financial crisis when he gave his friends Paul Chen Young and Don Crawford and the others financial licenses to open these financial institutions, which were actually disguises for Ponzi schemes. There is nothing different between Central National Bank, the Eagle Merchant Bank, the Olin Cash Plus, and the SSL. They all play from the same playbook until today.
That's
There is
true.
no difference between them. They are all Ponzi schemes. So from day one, Seaga was planning, along with Don Crawford, all these friends, to scam people out of their properties. So when people used their properties back then with those high interest rates to secure loans for whatever reasons and could not pay back these loans, they lost those properties. And that itself is a land grab that happened in the 90s. Now let us look at the financial advice that came from these people, these banks, when people went in to use their properties as securities. Just like how Jean Panton gave financial advice that people could trust according to them in quotation marks, is the same way they did it in the 90s. And I would wish the laborers to stop blaming us for the FinSac. The FinSac was a solution to the problem that was created by Seaga and his
Yeah.
friends to steal from the people who were actually poor people of Jamaica. Because that 31 million US that he took out, Seaga never paid it back. Enchanted Gardens was created. And what happened to Enchanted Gardens? The whole thing flopped. And Seaga moved tourism from Portland to Ocho Jamaicans who live in Portland try to remember that originally, tourism started in Jamaica in Portland on the banana boats. And Seaga developed Ocho with the intention of moving your money source from Portland to Ocho for his own benefit so that the tourist that comes to Ocho could go to Enchanted Gardens. That was his reasoning behind
Wow.
it. Seaga doesn't do anything without planning. And I'm happy that it came out tonight that Andrew Holness stole money from Seaga. So all the persons in the party who grew up, who were mentored by Seaga, people like Desmond Mackenzie and Babsy, come here now and tell me, how do you feel about Andrew being the leader of the party, knowing that Seaga groomed both of you, and the leader of the party is now a thief from the beginning of time until now. Because how can you be working with someone for so long in a charity? Because I suspected, that he stole from the charity, not from Seaga. But I like how Headboy put it out there now. It's from Seaga he stole the money from. I suspected it was from the charity, but now we know better. And the two taxes, every taxi driver know who have taxis know what they go through. So nothing that that Andrew claimed about the taxes was his investment and blah blah blah. It's come full circle.
Yeah.
No taxi driver got rich owning a taxi. And I yield the floor to someone else.
All right. Of course, Brother Rattigan is going to break it down for us. Now, Brother Rattigan, you're on.
You're muted.
Sorry.
Or
Sorry. Yeah. I've heard so much. There's not much I can add, but a few pieces here and there. When the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, when he left school, he went to work for, as was stated, the Voluntary Organization for Uplifting Children. That was from 1994 to 1996. But before 1994, he received a degree, and his degree was in management studies. Then between 1994 and 96, he received his master's degree in development studies. And he was there from 1994 until 1996. Then from 1996 until 2000, he worked for Mr. Seaga at Premier Group Limited. Now I want to show you something. Lady Anne-Marie, just share that for me, please. Remember, he has 2 degrees. He has, well, now they say he has a professional doctorate, but before then he had and then he also had one of them that you pay for, the one from Delaware.
You
honorary.
to me.
Brat, you didn't send it on the document.
Yeah, it's right here.
You want to share?
Yeah, share it. Yeah.
Which document?
You didn't. I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it? Because
No.
it's, hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's right here.
Send it again.
Hold on. All right, let me stop sharing. Let me pull it up back. Share screen. Here we go. You don't see that?
They're not coming through.
Okay. All right. Well, here's what the document says. It says that the title is Candidates Nominated in the General Elections 1997, because if folks remember, in 1997, the election was held, I believe, in December. And it says here, St. Andrew West Central, and there are 3 candidates. Warren Blake, who's a medical doctor. Stephen Daly, who's a businessman. And Andrew Holness. And his occupation is listed as financial controller. I look through his things and I don't see anything about finances, management studies, and development studies. They sound like they don't sound like financial courses to me. But anyway, it says financial controller, and that's the position he occupied when he was working for Mr. Seaga. So it kind of makes sense what Headboy is saying about him being in control of the finances and then moving and grooving with the money. But then we get to Burita. Let me talk a little bit about Burita, because there's a $50 million loan. And I mean, if you think about what Headboy is saying, it makes sense. And here's why it makes sense. Burita gave out this $50 million loan. And when the Integrity Commission went to Burita and said, let's see the books, and was this an unsecured loan, meaning that you put up something collateral for it, or was it unsecured, meaning you didn't put anything up, or secured, you put something up for it? And they said, yeah, it's a secured loan. He put up collateral. And they said, what collateral did he put up? They said, well, he put up land, he put up shares, and he put up an insurance policy. And they said, let's see the evidence. And when they looked, they realized that he received the $50 million, and 2 weeks later, he bought shares, which he put up. You and I can't get that deal, right? That's one. The land that he said he put up, they found out that he put it up 6 months after he got the $50 million. And the insurance policy was never tendered. So I don't know what's going on here with that, but it gets worse. He said that he had some shares with Burita. So they went to Burita and said, well, how come he didn't tell us about the shares? They said, well, he didn't purchase the Burita shares from us. He purchased them on the open market. So they went to the stock exchange and they said, we need proof that the Prime Minister purchased these shares. And they said, well, we can show you that he has he received the shares, but we can't tell you how much. We don't have any record of how much he paid for the shares, which makes absolutely no sense. The critical question here is a very simple question. And it's a question the Prime Minister has been, he says he hasn't been, but he has been dodging the question. And it just tell us the source of funds. Please just tell us where you get all of this money from. A very simple question. No, Headboy didn't want to call the name, but I can call the name. It's Norman Brown, the name that is calling. Urban Development Corporation chairman and also in charge of Housing Authority of Jamaica. That's the man who the Integrity Commission found out was going around to different ATMs and making deposits to the Prime Minister's account, which just didn't make any sense. But there are, so you have Norman Brown, you have Robert Gavin, and there's another guy from over in his constituency. But there are two guys, because we seem to think that sometimes we think that, well, the Prime Minister is doing all of these things, but there are people behind him that you don't even hear about. Two of those people are Ian Moore. Headboy knows a lot about Ian Moore. And the second one is a guy by the name of Paul East. And Paul East, just quickly to tell you about Paul East. Paul East is a guy who the Prime Minister loaned him $2 million at one point. Then the Prime Minister purchased a boat with this man from a company named Palladium down in the British Virgin Islands.
Yes.
3 of them purchased the boat. Nice boat. We saw a representation of the boat last Saturday. But then this same guy, Paul East, he has a company called Nav East. That is a family-owned company that he's in charge of. That company received almost, well, more than $750 million of government contracts. In total, Paul East was connected to more than $1 billion of government contracts.
Whoa.
These are the people that he's associated himself with. And then when you talk about Positive Media, the Prime Minister's media company, what's weird is that there's a company called Green Emerald that sits in the heart of the ghetto. We talked about it last week and how they contracted with the Prime Minister's company to do PR work for them. And then they paid some money and then they loaned the Prime Minister's company millions of dollars. And then when they paid him back, they paid him an overage of $5 million. And they can't really explain the flow of the money. This is what happens, people, when you don't acquire funds legitimately. And so you have to devise and scheme and come up with ways how to move the funds in such a way that it won't cause attention. But even if you want to give the Prime Minister the benefit of the doubt, and like he said, he's worked hard for everything. He wasn't born with a gold spoon in his mouth. The one outstanding question that the Prime Minister has not shed any light on, and I've said it before, is source of funds. Mr. Prime Minister, where did you get all this money from? Just answer that question and everything will be fine. But everything won't be fine, and he knows it. Everything won't be fine, because if you go back and you look at that report, you see where they said that they said he deliberately omitted information and therefore it's impacted his 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I think 23, 21. I think they stopped at 21 statutory declarations. So the Prime Minister knows what's coming. He knows that if he provides that information, they're going to go back and they can decertify all of those statutory declarations. Because, and somebody was asking me, how do you decertify it? Well, fraud. If they can prove fraud vitiates certification. Fraud wipes out certification. If they can go back and know that he intentionally did all of these things, then they can go back and decertify. And so you'd have a Prime Minister who probably won't have a certification at all, because they said they went back and they looked at his from 1998 to 2001. They've been looking at his statutory declarations. And then there is I don't know if you've seen it. There's some people are making the argument that, you know, Craig Beresford and Panton, that they lied. One of them lied because Panton sent something to the Parliament saying we couldn't get any information from the Prime Minister, and so we referred it to FID. which was last year, that letter was sent. But then they said this year, March, Beresford said, I'm waiting for the Prime Minister to provide me with the information so I can conclude 2022-2023 statutory declarations. Both things can be true.
Yes.
Both of them can be true. Because if he gives it to Beresford, then what they'll do, they'll call off the FID investigation. But some people are making an argument saying that, but at the end of the day, Mystic, at the end of the day, all of these things that they said he did, the Integrity Commission said that he did. They have the proof. And so I don't know where he's going to turn. He's caught between a rock and a hard place, and he's fighting a losing battle as far as I'm concerned. That's it.
But hold on, Rocky. Stay a bit, let me just ask some questions. Because just as what you communicated as it relates to what Emily Shield is trying to say, that Emily Shield stated that the Integrity Commission investigators, right, are in pursuit to persecute, right, Andrew Holness.
Mm-hmm.
And in so saying, she is saying that the statutory declaration of the Prime Minister from 1998 up until 2020 had already been certified. This is Emily Shield's argument. What Emily Shield is not paying attention to is to the fact that, remember, Ratty, that between 1998 up until 2020, that the Integrity Commission just accept, right, as it relates to what being reported on by Andrew Holness. They did not do any investigation. However, based on what an external investigator, right, had found as it relates to companies that were not listed by Andrew Holness, it brings a new ballpark. So then all of those statutory declarations that were certified, right, simply means now it becomes a new game because Andrew Holness did not, right, identify or speak of certain things. And so then, having said that, it is going to affect, right, those previous statutory declarations. What say you on the matter, Ratty?
Yeah, you see, the thing is, if you look at the statutory declaration, it just says that, it clearly says no audit was done. That's exactly what they do. They just add up the numbers and then that's it. What happened was in 1990, I think it was 1998, somebody complained about the Prime Minister, and they complained to the Integrity Commission, the old Integrity Commission, and they started looking into his affairs. That's how that happened. Because if you look at the January 25th, 2019 letter from, I think, the acting director of information and complaints to the commission, she said they've been looking at this stuff since from 1998 to 2016, and that was because somebody told them that they should go back and look, because they've been certifying everything. And then if you look at Craig Beresford, if you go to paragraph 6 of Craig Beresford's thing, I think is probably the most important paragraph in his affidavit, because he said here that the omission of any information would result in an incorrect calculation of the declarant's net worth. And the last sentence in that paragraph is, in essence, the statutory declaration would be false and omissions would impact past.
He said it
and
clearly.
Also impact future net worth calculations. So what he's saying to you is that we're going back.
Exactly.
We're going back. We're going forward, but we're also going back. And they went as far back as 2016. So for somebody to say that, you know, it's a witch hunt and they're going after him, I think it's voluntary blindness. They've decided they're not going to look, they're going to close their eyes and not look at the evidence. But if you look at the evidence that they've amassed, and if you look at it objectively, without, you just put on your blinders and just focus on it, you'll see that there is a ton of evidence there. In fact, the program we have coming up Saturday is let me just quickly just tell you what it's called. We're going to come up with at least 20 reasons why Prime Minister Andrew Holness should be charged for breaching the Integrity Commission Act and the Corruption Prevention Act.
Yes.
At least 20 reasons. It's more. When I checked it, I think it was more than 30. I think I stopped at 35, but I'm being generous. I said 20. But I think depending on how time is and how I feel about it, I might just go past 20 to 30 or maybe 40. But there's a whole lot of reasons in this report. This report is significant. People don't realize,
Yes.
Every time I've read this report now about 5 times, and I'm going to read it tomorrow. It's going to be the 6th time. And every time I read it, I find a nugget. I find something that I didn't say before. Every single time. It's tedious reading, but if you have the time and you're willing to sketch it out, it can be very rewarding in terms of having a rich discussion about what the Prime Minister has done and what he's doing. And based on what I see here, it is my considered opinion that the Prime Minister has committed crimes.
Okay.
He has committed crimes.
Let me ask you a question to clear up something here. Now, we could just go back to 1995 and 1996.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We don't know as it relates to, in terms of Andrew Holness getting that $47 million. Whether one, he had stolen it from Edward Seaga. And number 2, if Edward Seaga had given it to him. So what I am trying to define here is what we call a sort of, black hole, a financial black hole for Andrew Holness. Because any answer that Andrew Holness gives, Andrew Holness is going to be in a problem. If Andrew Holness admitted that he had stolen the money from Edward Seaga, then his wealth, right, hinge on illicit enrichment.
Mm-hmm.
And if Seaga had given him the money, it simply means, as it relates to mens rea and actus reus, Seaga would have intent, right, of not wanting to pay back the money, and so he began to share the money with Andrew Holness, giving Andrew Holness a portion. Would you say that?
I would agree with that statement. I would agree with it. And let me just quickly show you, because what we did around here, we did a little piece on the Prime Minister's called Uncertified Wealth, the mystery behind Jamaica's Prime Minister's finances. And we looked at his education, and then we go to 1996, 1997, when he was a 1994 to 1996, he was the executive director of Voluntary Organization for Uplifting Women. Then 1996 to 1997, he was a special assistant and financial manager at a premium group of companies. At that time, he was making $438,500 annually. Then in 1997, he became member of parliament. Actually didn't take his seat till 1998, but he was making $1.5 million annually. 1999 to 2002, he was opposition spokesperson on land and development. 2002 to 2005, opposition spokesperson on housing. 2005 to 2007, opposition spokesperson on education. So he's making 1.5 all along. 2007 to 2012, he was Minister of Education. He was making 5.3 annually. 2011 to 2012, remember a short stint he was Prime Minister. He was making 7.3, or a pro rata share of that, because it wasn't a full year. 2012 to 2006, he was leader of the opposition. He was making 6.4. 2016 till now, he's making 9.1. And here's what we did wrong here. We said, okay, income tax is 25% to 30%. And the low to middle income households, they typically spend a large share of their income, ranging from 72% to 98% on basic necessities. And they save on the average 10 to 15% of their income. Now, this is what we said. If the Prime Minister invested 15% of his income from 1997 to 2011 at an optimistic 10% annual rate, notwithstanding OLINT and Cash Plus, his total interest plus principal plus interest would be about 20.6 million. And this is far below the 57.1 million for the house he bought in 2011 with no mortgage.
Here you go.
On a 5.3 million salary. And so we say the Integrity Commission has revealed that the Prime Minister's net worth increased by 51.5 million between 2017 and 2021. And in any functioning democracy, when public officials receive large deposits or own substantial assets that don't align with their salaries, and accountability agencies such as Jamaica's Integrity Commission is responsible for tracing those funds to make sure that they're lawful and not connected to corruption or misuse of public resources. Now, the Prime Minister, we know this as a fact, that he struggled to pay his student loans. In fact, he defaulted on his student loans. His name appeared in the Student Loan Bureau. Wealth is not inherently suspicious, but it must have a clear and legitimate source, such as inheritance, lottery winnings, private businesses, or gifts. Yeah. And if your wealth is not above board, then why hasn't it been certified? So what we're saying, oh, by the way, when the revelation about the student loans came up in 2019, Senator Robert Morgan, remember him, he framed the situation as saying, every ghetto youth can be great, from nothing to something and from board house to Jamaica House. He said that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're saying, given the unanswered questions about the Prime Minister's wealth and business dealings, is this truly an example for ghetto youths from board house to illicit enrichment? And that's the question we left the report with. And one last thing, you know, the Prime Minister said he said he was raised or born and raised in a 1-bedroom board house. Then it went to a 2-bedroom board house. Him come back and him tell him have a problem for a financial manager control. Him have a problem with numbers, because the Sunday when they had their mass meeting, he said he started out with 2 taxi cabs. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because when he was interviewed by the Integrity Commission, they told him he had started out with 3 taxi cabs. So I don't know where this man is going. He's all over the place. So
all right. Ratty, hold it, because I want the panel to answer in terms of the question that I'm going to ask. You brought up something that is fundamentally important. We are said, as it relates to you checking Andrew Holness TV, you have not seen any form of certification in finance.
That's correct.
No. So let me ask them. I'm going to ask a question. Right, and for persons can respond, person in the panel can respond. I am asking, is it a situation that Juliet Holness was behind the scenes doing the finances?
Let me just quickly say that's a very good question. That's an outstanding question, because if you read the report that came out, I think in December of last year, there is absolutely no mention of his wife. No mention. This affidavit,
yes,
she's all over the show. The Prime Minister is loaning her money. Then, in fact, he put her as a director on Delido 2 years after Delido stopped doing business.
Yes.
How do you do that? The business completely finished, and then you put her on it and as a director when the company fold up and business over. Then we see him loaning her money, loaning his wife and her sister. See him loan money, and we see him put her on a whole bunch of companies. Then we see him buying supplies through her company. It's a mess. It's a mess. I just want to see her investigative report. I want to see that one.
Yeah. What is Juliet Holness CV?
I think she's a certified public accountant.
Yeah.
So she has the she has the ability and the capacity
Indeed.
to do the finance.
Indeed.
Okay.
And you know, that's one of the reasons why we were concerned around here, because we were looking at when the Integrity Commission asked him to provide information. And it took him 12, 18, it took him about 18 or 19 months before he provided the information. Now, if any one of us, if we were government officials and we did that, they would, I mean, you know what would happen? They'd crucify us. But he took 18 to 19 months to give them the information they were asking for. Okay. Think about that. And so somebody said to me, you know what? They were cooking the books during that time period. They're trying to figure out, hey, how do we send something that is seemingly plausible to the Integrity Commission to just keep them away? How do we do that? And he responded. And when he responded, when they examined the information, they came back to him and they told him that this information is not good. And they kept going back and forth. And all along that time, during that time period, he was saying I think it's December 12th, December 6th is Global Anti-Corruption Day. And they put out a publication. And all of the leaders in Jamaica, they speak very highly about anti-corruption efforts in Jamaica, including the Prime Minister. You know, the one time he didn't talk about the Integrity Commission last December. He said, the hell with them. You know what? Nothing to do with them.
All right, Brother Ratty. All right. That being said, let me just turn to Melting Pot. Melting Pot.
Right.
I'm saying that Andrew Holness has Juliet to his CV, right? I mean, does not have any accounting background, right? And yet he was doing financial controller. He has been the financial controller as it relates to Edward Seaga company between 1995 to 1996. What say you on the matter? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to reveal to the people that we already tried the case. Already, me and you. What revealed was what we concluded on.
1 second, Melting Pot. 1 second. I just want to make a correction, because I think Mystic just said that he was a financial controller from 1995 to 1996. He was actually from 1996 to 2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Ratty.
Well, yes. As when we look at the Holness, yeah, we know who has the requisite skill to do financing and accounting. Not Andrew Holness. It's Juliet have that requisite skill. And I mean, she's certified in that capacity, right? Andrew had something to do with science. Good. But we tried the case already. And what Headboy revealed, we concluded on that as well.
Yes.
And we were looking at two black holes in the investigation. Either Andrew steal the money or Edward Seaga give him the money as kickback for not paying the 31 million. Because Andrew would be privy to the 31 million not being paid back. And he would be privy to the 31 million being borrowed. Because he was doing financing for Edward Seaga during that period of time. So we know everything as it relates to what, went on during that period of time. And in my perception view, Andrew was not doing the books for Edward Seaga, it was Juliet Holness. That's my perception view. Because she has the skill to do that. You understand? So even when after Andrew Holness gave the interview and make mention of the 47 million that he came into politics with, Juliet came out and tried to clean up that mess. Because Juliet didn't want that to be out there, being mentioned about Andrew having 47 million. But Juliet knows he had it. And when Juliet was talking about what they couldn't afford at the wedding, that was a lie. They could afford it they want at the time. So Juliet was doing some cleaning up work in the background after holding this blundered by making mention of the 47 million. But we know what took place there and then. So, you know, I have to applaud Headboy for coming in and knocking it on the head, knocking it on the head. And I have to give you credit, Sir Byron, for being the type of investigator you are. Because you and I sit down and we unravel everything to the T.
Yes.
So I'm not surprised because Andrew Holness cannot make mention of the genesis of his wealth. So it's covering up something. But, you know, I even said to you, Sir B, remember how much time Andrew took to submit the report back to the Integrity Commission, and here's Brother Rattigan saying the same thing. They give him so much time, so there's no way anyone is rich hunting him. Andrew Holness was given time that no one else in our society would have got in terms of, you know, IC or any other agency giving them that time to submit a report. Nearly 2 years. So what Andrew Holness did within that time was to come up with the fictitious statement that we saw in the affidavit. It's Andrew telling lying himself, you know, no one else. The report in the affidavit is what Andrew Holness submit to the Integrity Commission.
Exactly.
Critical is good. So no one is rich hunting him. So Emily, she'll need to understand that, you know, everything is traceable. Even when people who are, you know, accountable try to hide it, it can be traceable. Because you and I trace it, Sir B.
Exactly.
Headboy trace it, Rattigan trace it. So Emily, she just need to understand that she need to recluse herself from this conversation. It's much bigger than her, and she's only trying to sink herself. And I yield back the floor.
All right. And so then we move on to, we're going to have Headboy to just close us out. There we have Sister Spinks Q to come in and give, right, make her narrative on that as it relates to what we are saying, Pinks, right? Obviously, Andrew Holness doesn't acquire that skill set, all right, as it relates to finances, right? And we are not saying that it is Juliet Holness, you know, we are just wondering because you have Dennis Chung that Andrew Holness associated with, right? You have Nigel Clark. Prior to Nigel Clark came into politics that he associated with. But I mean, Juliet Holness is just right there. Juliet Holness is his wife, and Juliet Holness possesses that skill set. What say you on the matter, Sphinx?
Well, Uncle Byron, from my point of view, I don't think Juliet has anything to do with Andrew's accounts and knowledge of what he's doing. Let me explain something to you. You can tell by human nature what Andrew is. When Andrew and Juliet were at university together, it is said that Juliet was the one who used to do his coursework for him and assist him in acquiring his degree. All right, so she is the brain. But although she's the brain in the couple, and Andrew is the kind of person who recognizes that his wife has the brain, he does not trust her enough to be in his business. Because if that was so, if he has a certified accountant as his wife, why would he be hiring Dennis Chung and the Indian man to be his accountant? And if you look at it, she was never mentioned at all in the 28 accounts. And that is why she and him had a fight the night when the information was made public. She has no, for me, she has no knowledge of what Andrew was doing all along. She's innocent of a lot of things. So how I see it is this, right? Even if you look at their political careers right now, so many times they come out and present contrary stories to each other. She said 3 bridges, he said 55. When there was a flooding in her constituency, she said she wants to put up a GoFundMe. He said there is constituency emergency funding. She has no need. So even between both of them, husband and wife, they do not communicate. And we see so many evidence of them with their body language, how they behave in public. They do not communicate even in their relationship about their own children, because when they made public that their sons took the COVID vaccine, she said one, he said another brand. So they don't communicate on simple issues like that. So I think he wants to keep her out of his business, and he became public now, and everybody knows about it. Now, the other thing is this, even with the St. Lucia company, ADMAT, he only moved that money to Jamaica because St. Lucia changed their laws there.
Yes, that is correct.
You understand me? So he had to close the company there. And the fact that your wife is a certified accountant, when I look at it again, the only reason she got mentioned in the affidavits about the taxes at a closed company, that's an insult. To me, that's an indirect insult to his own wife again, to prove that to us that he doesn't love her. Because why would you put your wife in a company that does not do any business anymore? I think he was trying to pacify her at the time over some situation, because sometimes when men cheat on their wives, they do things to pacify the situation by giving her material things. And in this way, he conned her in thinking she was a director of a company, not knowing that the company was closed. So she was conned too. So if he's conning his own wife, why won't he con us? He's not being truthful to his own wife about anything, even his own business transactions. That is how I see the situation between Juliet and Andrew right now. Even up to the recent gala, body language is obvious. It's obvious. There are things not being said to her, and there are things being kept from her by Andrew.
Okay.
So when the investigation is going onto her, we must look at her separate from the husband and not together. And I yield the floor to someone else.
All right. And that
Mystic.
is, yes.
Mystic, can I throw in something? Let me just answer things.
Yes.
The evidence shows that what Melting Pot says, or the evidence would tend to agree with Melting Pot, and here is why. I'm going to read you something from the same affidavit. It says here, Mr. Holness, and this is him talking to the Integrity Commission, and it says, Mr. Holness explained that he and his wife maintain separate accounts, businesses, and owns property independent of each other. I'm going to show you how this money a lie. In the same statement at the bottom, remember now we know, he said that he and his wife maintain separate accounts, businesses, and owns property independent of each other. He noted that he does not have knowledge of or is involved in any of her financial or real estate transactions. He has no knowledge of her transactions. Very last sentence, he said, Mr. Holness referenced the list of properties owned or previously owned by his wife. Him say, don't know, but him give them a list. Him say, here is a list of all the properties that you own. Yeah. And then he said, and he noted that he knew of the development, a development she was building. But he said, yeah, I had no beneficial interest or financial obligation in these transactions and is not able to report on any of her assets or business. However, there were 6 instances where they were engaged in business activities jointly. 1, they purchased a home in Mona. 2, they had a bank account, a Scotia bank account. They said it's closed now. Then they had a NHT mortgage. And then he gave her loans totaling $90,000 and 1.3 million Jamaican dollars for a development that she was building with her sister. And then there was a $10 million home improvement loan negotiated by Juliet Holness, but repaid by Mr. Holness. And the last one is there's a purchase of construction material for the Shenstone property through Mrs. Holness's company from ARC and other suppliers, amounting to 18.2 million. So they have a lot of mixing up going on here, and this is on page 18 of the page 18 of the affidavit. That's what I'm saying. This affidavit is very, 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 very revealing. There's much more than that in there, but I tend to think that they made a deliberate effort to separate them. It wasn't something that I do my thing, you do your thing.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where they agree that listen, and you know, I see it happening here, and I actually advise my clients that if they're buying a house, that if one of the parties can qualify for the mortgage, it would be best, because if there's an issue with that person, with that spouse, the other spouse can then turn around and then qualify for another mortgage. If you get both of them together on the mortgage and there's a problem, they're both involved. So I advise them, look, if you can afford, if you qualify, if you trust each other, maybe you need a prenup. But if you trust each other, then one person should just go ahead and do it, because in the event that there's an issue, the other person, you still have good credit with the other person that's not on the paperwork. But if you put both of them on it, both of them, you're going to have problems. So they may have received that advice as well and just say, look, we need to just separate. So they closed the bank account. I think they sold the house. He gave her money. She paid it back. Then he's borrowing money. He's ordering stuff through her company, and then he's getting suppliers to give him 18-point-something million. So they're still involved. And I think it was a deliberate effort on their part to say, let's kind of separate. But I tell you what, I believe there's more to it than this, because as you said, Pinks, in the 2024 thing, there is not a mention of his wife. And if he hadn't foolishly taken the Integrity Commission to court, we wouldn't have had the benefit of this. This would have never seen the light today.
And she would not have known either.
That's true.
All right. So let us just take, thank you for that, Ratty. Let us just listen to Sister P, right? And then we get to Headboy to close us out, right? In terms of a question that we are going to ask Headboy. All right, Sister P, you're on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good night to the panel. Good night. I have two burning issues here. First, we must give God thanks for Journey Mercy. You know, say, when you watch history, the same scenario where the CIA played on Jamaica in 1980. So, with the media, what the CIA man say, you know, so we have some people at Jamaica in our media, we sell we out.
Oh, yes.
We see them people. Because as a female, I listened to Dan Jackson Miller way back when. And did have a respect for her and learn, because she's a learning person. And learn not from her too. But and to only do something to them people. I don't know for the money. If them are get kicked back or what. You hear Dan Jackson Miller was say she loved everything in the PNP manifesto. But the part with the diaspora to get that seat. If I even she alone, she go campaign against it. No. Gentlemen and lady, we might have fool, you know. In the pandemic, and even now, without the diaspora, Jamaica sink worse and get the long time. Why is it everything at the diaspora? And now that we say we want back our country, We need the diaspora them just like when they walking at snow whenever fall at Jamaica. And they help everybody. Help all who them not know them as send charity barrel coming. We want the diaspora them to start coming in our country and invest in our country. I would say in our country like everybody else. Diaspora. Every time we talk about investor, and some people from down Toronto raise up. When they come and say them invest, they only abuse the Jamaican ordinary people. God forbid. Look at the hotel industry. We want more that. And if we say we want the diaspora to have a representative in a parliament, we can curve things, give opinion, but carry other things from other countries. This country, this is all the while in charity. So try to get this up, forget it. And everybody mix and mingle. God forbid this Jamaica people will live for I hear them bad. And I can't tell you, in my opinion, if a diaspora them come together and start to invest in a Jamaica, we will have a better Jamaica. Guess what? The diaspora man them and woman, them know them Jamaican roots, they know Jamaican people behave. So it's not that we are going to say we don't find two bad apple, but them know how to deal with it when it arises. Don't it?
Exactly.
Every time these people come and they take them invest, and the money go back and forth. And the money go back and forth. And Jamaica worse. You believe a member in the diaspora wouldn't want to see a good hospital like Jamaica? You believe a member of the diaspora wouldn't want to see good school and good road, and when they come here, they want to enjoy the yard? You ever hear any Chinese tell the government to fix the road? You never come to you need to fix the road is bad. They not say that. Because when they sick, they know where they must go. Chinese are look and work as a man be and tell them, say, me never spare you. Can me have links to the government? Eh? You think a diaspora man would have tell he had the Jamaican brothers up. Even if you run in a little shot, he would have said to him, say, guess what? Me run little shot and me run little late. So and so and so. And they don't know to deal with that thing. Chinese come here and insult me. White man from way back, so come here and insult me and beat you up. And do it, lock we not fear with. Not slave this. And then Jackson Miller, you let down with. I don't know for the kickback what you get and what. But I can tell you, is a disgrace. And you all know. Every single Jackman do around know. Whether you are journalist, teacher, pastor, police, whatever you play, we don't do all this. You know a good ground. You know see it. Confused. Yeah, the other one. A prominent journalist like you. Look what disgrace come up by you. Yeah, move from here to this like when careless can leave a man house. He might put him out with a little scandal back. Eh? And you grow now at time. PNP like, no, what like PNP no have no time. If a person say my PNP, he no fear no time. We don't want to no pan no debate. How we know no time, no sing, no supper. And the supper done. But they say, oh, the John Davis, the second debate. We are what? We are look how we are open. We need a disgrace to no one country for love of money. Cliff Hughes, and Jackson Miller. If money could have saved the Queen, she would still be alive. If money could have saved Bush Stewart, he would still be alive.
Oh yeah.
And lots more persons in the world. We have to stop it. Nothing is wrong. We want the member of the diaspora into the parliament to help. To help. Just like one of them help in a pandemic. And journalists get money so we are not doing none. right? Every time anytime you go in one town center and you see one line long gone also, no ask our Western Union. You know, yeah, when you see sign, when you see line, you know what? Who said it come here? If people live over there, we are work 3, 4 work in a casino, type of facility where they go through, and they make sure they send back the bill money, the food money, the light bill and the rent. We benefit everybody because it helps build up the economy. God forbid I want to know people, what to know. I want to do junk. I hope they win. Who see you go be a man? Wake up. I would not be this who no put in our account. Who too rich no put in our account. Suffer the same thing too. The sin of the mother and the father visited the third, fourth generation. Who just want to kick down people back in slavery because who no can get a little likes. It's not gonna work so. It's not gonna work so. We are gonna rise to the occasion.
Oh yes.
We now make no walk away. And I yield back.
Thank you, Sister Pat. All right, let us just go around to the panel as it relates to the closing remarks. Thank you, Sister Pat, for that continuous support that you're giving the channel. Really appreciate it. All right. Let us begin with Lady Spinks. What say you to the electorate, right, in terms of the information that we had revealed tonight, right? What is your word to the electorate?
My Jamaican voters, yesterday we nominated 63 PNP candidates successfully. Despite the challenges that came out that day and the other people breaking the protocols and the rules of nomination day, we came out strong. And our 63 candidates are well, intelligent, upright, honest, people with integrity. And that is what we want for the future of our country. People who are honest, people who we can trust, people who are transparent as elected members. Jamaica, when you go out to vote on September the 3rd, please to remember to put the X beside the head. North Western James, nomination day yesterday was the first morning ever in the history of Jamaica. I woke up with the water pressure so force it almost hit off my shower head. I came back in after my nomination day, and there was still water in my pipe. This morning I woke up again. There was still water in my pipe, full force. And I said it on this program already. All they had to do was just turn on the water. The pipes were laid 2 decades ago. Turn on the water and keep the water on. And I'm sure until election day, we're going to have water. Jamaica, we saw the roads that we were motorcading through yesterday. Potholes. 2 weeks before election, Horace Chang is trying to fix roads in flankers. After being there for over 9 years recently. Come on, man. Jamaica, wake up. Wake up. You see how many Jamaicans flying in to vote?
Mm-hmm.
You see how many Jamaicans comrades flying in? Mm-hmm. Can the JLP show us a picture of a plane full of labor rights flying in? We saw the intimidation yesterday and they were confused of how we responded with love. All of us went home safe, both labor rights and comrades yesterday. So my Jamaicans, come out and vote for PNP September 3rd. I yield.
Love that. All right, Melting Pot takes away your closing argument.
Yes, I just want to say, that there's two choice at the moment available, and the two choice comes with, clarity and non-clarity. When you look at the opposition leader, is a man of integrity. So we would describe him as the integrity boss. When you look at the current prime minister, is a man with no integrity. That's why he's taking the integrity commission to court. So we are seeing a vibrant opposition leader in Sir Mark Jefferson Golding going about his business with energy and, just full of life. While we are seeing the prime minister, he has no energy. He's weak because all that is hanging over his head is shame and guilt. And so there lies the reason to vote for the People's National Party. Because what we have revealed tonight has, uncovered Andrew Holness as a criminal in our society, as it relates to illicit enrichment. So we have no other choice than to get rid of the corrupt leader and choose a man of integrity to move the country forward. And I also want to, endorse what Sister Pat just said about the diaspora having, some form of voice in the House of Parliament. Because I'm sure if there was someone in the upper Senate, when loans come to Jamaica for people in Jamaica to benefit from it, the diaspora would have made mention of it and would have had a voice to put towards government ending funds that come to Jamaica for Jamaica. So the diaspora is essential in our democracy because of what the diaspora contribute to Jamaica wealth annually in terms of between $3.5 billion to $4 billion. And so that can't just be a gift with a thank you. It must be a gift with a recognition. And it's time to have a diaspora to have a voice in the House of Parliament and to represent people in the diaspora who contribute to Jamaica development, not just by sending remittance, but buying product from Grace Kennedy and we are shipping to the diaspora, because foreign people don't buy Jamaican product. It's we Jamaican that buy it. So even Grace Kennedy is benefiting annually from diaspora buying the product. And I yield back the floor.
Wonderfully stated, Melting Pot. Headboy, are you there? Headboy?
Yes, man, I'm here. I'm hearing loud and clear.
Your closing statement to the electorate, Headboy.
It is simple. As we look beyond and looking beyond, we can see clearly that Mr. Holness is unfit to be Prime Minister. That is something every Jamaican knew from he took the Integrity Commission to court. We also can see that the ghost of his past is haunting him. And there's no amount of running away, no amount of trying to bury these ghosts or bury these demons, as they call them, can suffice. Now, my simple suggestion to every single Jamaican is you have a choice. You have a clear choice, actually. Clear choice. That you're going to work with an uncertified Prime Minister and an uncertified bunch, because about 10 of them over there, we don't know who them be. Yeah? Right? And thank you for that mistake. And also, are you going to continue to allow the resources of Jamaica to be pilfered for a few? When PJ Patterson became Prime Minister in after replacing Michael in 93, I can't count the amount of millionaires, black Jamaicans, who were made millionaires under the People's National Party. Millionaires. I ask you to come now and tell me which millionaires Andrew Holness created, except millionaires among themselves. Yes, until we can solve that, issue, we are not never ever going to truly understand that the wealth of our country should be equally distributed among our people. Now, in closing, I simply say to every single Jamaican, there's 150,000 voters' IDs that have not been collected. If you are going to vote, go for your voter's ID. If you are in the diaspora, come and vote. Once you name in the black book and it appears on the list, you can vote. Nobody can stop you from vote. But to make the process smoother, go for the voter's ID. Because the more black booking does is the longer the voting process be. And if you're a comrade, go get the ID. Up to Saturdays, the EOJ is open to make the process smoother. I urge every single person vote early because the JLP has had a history of trying to buy votes between 1 and 5. Eh? So if you go out early, go vote, then can't catch you, then can't buy your vote because then can't catch you. And the next thing I'll simply say as I close to Juliet Holness, to all of those 49 that sit on the JLP side and think that they have a right to sit in Garden House, the axe is coming. And I saw your dirty behavior in East Rural St. Andrew, Juliet Holness. It is symbolic. And I want to bring this to the country's attention. It is symbolic to how nasty and low down the wife of the Prime Minister is. She's an literal ghetto bully. Eh? Imagine she blocked the candidate from the PNP from trying to enter the nomination center. The man had to ride on a bike to come to the nomination center in Garden Town. No, if no one should be rejected for that, it is that simple reason. And she should not have been allowed to even nominate either, because the rule says once you have nominated, you need to clear the road and allow the person who is next you and what they're doing. And it just only shows you Juliet Holness is scared. She's running from this guy named Mr. Peterkin, who has been in that constituency from Damien was MP. So I simply say, I wish every single person who's contesting the election the best of wishes. And I say on the Senate issue, I support it 150%. And I also want us to extend it a little bit further, that not only should we have one senator from the diaspora, because if you look at the proportional representation, the diaspora has at least 2 million, 3 million people, almost as equal as what is in Jamaica. We need to come to the stage where we at least have 2 senators from the diaspora. I know Wilfred Rattigan don't want the senatorship. Anytime you try to talk to him about senator, him run from it. But I'm saying it publicly. That I am endorsing Wilfred Rattigan for senator. I know him don't want it, but should he refuse the endorsement, I think our better judgment for a good senator from the Senate could come from a lady I know by the name of Dela Huntington. Yeah?
Dela gonna be the ambassador, man.
So I'm misinformed, my friend. But nevertheless, I heed to you, Mystic. But I want one of us who have been actively exposing the government to go to the Senate to continue to expose the former government. I yield to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Headboy, for that wonderful input there. And of course, we have Rattigan to close the show for us tonight. What say you as it relates to the elector?
All right, let me just start off by expressing my disappointment, my grave disappointment. And it is with the Integrity Commission. They've done fine work and they've done some flawed work. I'm disappointed because we have an illicit number of people in the Senate, I'm sorry, in Parliament, who will be running in this election who should not be running. And they've had, these investigations now for years, some of them for years. And surely they could have at least put out at least 2 or 3 of whatever the numbers, 8, 9, 10, whatever the numbers. And so I'm disappointed that we haven't seen any of that. And people will be going now to cast votes for some of these people who are suspected of illicit enrichment. So I'll just need to register my disappointment with that. The diaspora argument, we're going to deal with it in context tomorrow. But I think the journalist who made the comment, I think it was ill-advised. I think it was a knee-jerk. It was an emotional reaction. I don't think it was thought out. And it's definitely not factual. So we'll deal with that tomorrow. I have a special message for Senator Morgan and Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. We're no manifesto there. Nomination day come and gone, and we don't see no manifesto. We don't spend all the time I complain about the opposition's manifesto and I find spelling errors on this. Only have spelling errors in a phone of the achievements want to put out. If you don't need to find them, come talk to me. I'll show you the spelling errors. I don't know if I will heap spelling errors in the 2020 manifesto too. Not to mention a whole heap of lies and a whole heap of unfulfilled promises. So as a government, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of one. If you don't ashamed of yourself, me ashamed for you, because as a government, you should have focused on yourself and say, how can we package what we've done and hide what we haven't done and try and get the electorates to vote for us. Instead of now vote, we're not taking the time to have press conference about the PNP manifesto. I don't have no manifesto. But I tell you something, I know me I wait for the manifesto, you know, because I'm not an expert on the manifesto, but I'm familiar, very familiar with both of them, the 2016 and the 2021. Me just a wait. So when you finish it, please make ask in a favor. Just send me an advance copy, you know, so me can just go and take a look on it. And I hope I don't send it out like 2 days before the election, because a manifesto should mean something. So please don't hide the manifesto. Send it out, and it's long overdue. As far as voting, there is no choice. As far as I'm concerned, there is no choice. And here's why I say there is no choice. If you have been suffering since 2016, if you haven't received your piece of the pie, if you haven't received prosperity as defined and discussed by this government, if you are sick and tired of the corruption, vote against corruption. That's all I have to tell you. There is no choice. There is no choice. I want that people commit corruption. There is no choice. Vote against corruption. Vote against the corruption. And it is true that people are flying in. There is I would say mass exodus to Jamaica. I haven't seen it before. And Headboy and I were talking about it today. A lot of people flying in, and I see them in a certain color where it suggests that they're voting against corruption. They fly down. I know people who tell me that. Them send me some pictures today, and them say, we're down here, you know, and we're voting on the 3rd and we're leaving on the 3rd, but we're down here because we say we never want to wait till the last moment. We want to make sure we're in Jamaica because we have to vote. I've never seen this kind of enthusiasm. I've never seen this drive. I've never seen people so energized about voting in Jamaica, at least from the diaspora, as I'm seeing right now. And it's very encouraging. And last, I'm looking forward to the debates, because it will be the last chance for Jamaicans to hear lies being exposed. It will be the last time for them, those on the fence who are teetering. It will be the last time for you to listen to the candidates. And I want you to do this for me. This is about, on one side, it's about performance. On the other side, it's about promise. I want you to look at performance, because the promise is not really affecting you. It's not affecting you. What's affecting you is the performance or the lack thereof. And it's been going on for far too long. It's been going on since 2016. So I need everybody to tune into the debates. It's going to be interesting. I only wish that they could have me to debate one of the government officials, any one of them. I would love to debate any one of them, because believe me, them have not leg for stand on, because it's just pure corruption message from 2016 until now, including the bus scandal, which we will deal with on Saturday. More buzz, because I don't know if I know, I don't know if my panelists them know everybody know, but I have a bus. Me have They have a school bus, just like the one where Darrell Vaz bring. I know how much it costs.
Yeah.
$1 US.
So you
$1 US. Drive it. Me a video. I put the video last week. I drive the. I mean, I go visit it because it's too big. It can't park where I live, so I left it out in the country. And the guy, the man told me. The man said, if I had known that you were interested in school buses, I could have gotten you 7 of them for $7. So I would have had 8 school buses for $8. Think about that, people. Think about that. We could have gotten 110 school buses for $110 out of America, because you know why? They're giving them away. The U.S. government gave $5 billion to the states and said, get rid of those monstrosities because they're a threat to the health of our children because of the emissions. So they're buying low emissions diesel buses and electric buses. These old buses that you see in Jamaica now, they're just giving them away. And frankly speaking, think about it. The Prime Minister said, we've been working on the rural school bus program for 9 years. And Minister Darrell Vaz said, it's an emergency. 9 years, and all of a sudden it's an emergency. You know what's an emergency? The election, people. The election is an emergency. And mark my words, I don't mean any harm to our Jamaican children. I want to see the best for them because they're bright children and they deserve the best. But there is going to be a problem with those buses. There will be problems with those buses. And Darrell Vaz, Minister Vaz, I want you to know that this will rest on your shoulders and your conscience for the rest of your life. But it's not only Darrell Vaz, it's the entire cabinet. And I just want everybody to know I'm filing an action with the Auditor General to do an audit against them and issue a surcharge action, not only against Darrell Vaz, but against the entire cabinet, the 14 or 15 of them. Because guess what? Darrell Vaz came out and said, we all agreed on this rural school bus program. And they all agreed to give me the $1.4 billion. They're all responsible. I end my case there.
All right, thank you for that, Ratty. And let us show the commitment that the diaspora is giving. And as we said, they are definitely flying into Jamaica, right, to put the X beside the N. So let us show that to our listeners tonight and persons who tune in locally and in the diaspora. Here it is. People's National Party diaspora is ready.
PNP on them way to Jamaica to vote out JLP.
All right. And I love that. But let me say this to all of our Jamaican brothers and sisters. At the end of the day, what we want good governance, right? We want a government that deals with honesty and integrity, right? And so far, based on what we have seen in terms of Andrew Holness' involvement into the politics, a plethora of wrongdoing, a plethora of corruption, right? We have seen that he had, put cases in the Constitutional Court, and all the cases that he pursued, right, he had lost them. What that goes to show you, right? Now, at the end of the day, we are talking about a generation gap in terms of making sure, right, our generation to generation to generation, right, being survived, right, and progress and good governance. Now, we have seen clearly that Andrew Holness had lacked that, had lost moral compass, any form of sense of ethics gone through the door, right? And so then what we had witnessed, we are telling the Jamaican people, ensure, make sure, and be certain that the hex put beside the head. That's it for me. I am out. I want to say big thanks to the panel. Big thanks to all the people who tune in. We love you all, right? And walk good, Mystic Sensation.
Bless up.
All right.
I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right side that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.